Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Moorish America. On a rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right. And give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah. And honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. But let us call forth our beloved goddess and queen, Sister Dendra Nia Curta Bay, that she may open up our hearts and minds as she open up the way. Islam, Sister Dendra.
Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Dendra Nia Curta Bay, but first let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah. I give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to all my government officials. I give honors to our national assistant grand sheet for this E.A.R.S class this morning. I give honors to all of you who are listening to us this morning. And at this time, let us come forth with our ancient comedian, Adept Moorish American prayer. And as we come forth, we ask that you open up your hearts and your minds as we open up the way. Islam, Islam, Islam. Ya Allah Abnu Haru Maku Nektaru. Ya Allah Abhet Haru. Ya Allah Ma'at Haru. Ya Allah Hotep Haru. Ya Allah Haru. Ya Allah Ma'at Herahuti. Ya Allah Wajit Dahuti. Ya Allah Per Im Sakit Per Im Haru. Ya Allah Ba Mahuti. Hedget Sepsis Ray Abtu Ali. Amen. Alisa, Alisa, Alisa. And that is to say in transliteration, family, O Allah, the Father of the universe. O Allah, the Father of love. O Allah, the Spirit of truth. O Allah, the Spirit of peace. O Allah, the Spirit of freedom. O Allah, the Spirit of justice. O Allah, you are my protector. O Allah, you are my guide. O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day. O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Ju'ali. Amen. Holy Issa, Holy Issa, Holy Issa. Now let us come forth before you with our divine constitution of Moorish America, salvation, our God, and unity. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slave holders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husbands, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God, Allah. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting has now been officially opened according to Love, Truth, Act 2, according to Love, Truth, Peace, Freedom, and Justice. And at this time, we would turn it over to our National Grand Secretary of State to read our chapter of the week. Islam?
Islam, gratitude.
Gratitude.
This is Dr. Hatshepsut Tutankhamun Bey, National Grand Secretary of State, rising, giving all praises to Allah, honor to our Prophet, honor to our E.A.R.S class today, honor to our National Assistant Grand Secretary of State for opening our meeting according to law, Dr. Dundraniya Kurta, and also to our host, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shedu Amenti and Wahedet Shepsuel. I'll be reading our subject chapter for the week, chapter 5, Life Works of Yehoshua in Joseph's home at the age of 7 years. The home of Joseph was on Marmion Way in Nazareth. Here, Mary taught her son the lessons of Elihu and Salome. And Yehoshua greatly loved the Vedic hymns and the Avesta. But more than all, he loved to read the Psalms of David and the pungent words of Solomon. The Jewish books of prophecy were his delight. And when he reached his 7th year, he needed not the books to read, for he had fixed in memory every word. Yakim and his wife, grandparents of Yehoshua, made a feast in honor of the child, and all their near of kin were guests. And Yehoshua stood before the guests and said, I had a dream, and in my dream I stood before the sea upon a sandy beach. The waves upon the sea were high. A storm was raging on the deep. Someone above gave me a wand. I took the wand and touched the sands, and every grain of sand became a living thing. The beach was all a mass of beauty and song. I touched the waters at my feet, and they were changed to trees and flowers and singing birds, and everything was praising Allah. And someone spoke. I did not see the one who spoke. I heard the voice which said, There is no death. Grandmother Ann loved the child. She laid her hand on Yehoshua's head and said, I saw you stand beside the sea. I saw you touch the sand. And the waves, I saw them turn to living things. And then I knew the meaning of the dream. The sea of life rolls high. The storms are great. The multitude of men are idle, listless, waiting like dead sands upon the beach. Your wand is truth. With this you touch the multitude, and every man becomes a messenger of holy light and life. You touch the waves upon the sea of life. Their turmoil cease. The very winds become a song of praise. There is no death, because the wand of truth can change the driest bones to living things, and bring the loveliest flowers from stagnant ponds, and turn the most discordant notes to harmony and praise. Yakim said, My son, today you pass the 7th milestone of your way of life, for you are 7 years of age, and we will give to you as a remembrance of this day whatever you desire. Choose that which will afford you most delight. And Yehoshua said, I do not want a gift, for I am satisfied. If I can make a multitude of children glad upon this day, I would be greatly pleased. Now there are many hungry boys and girls in Nazareth who would be pleased to eat with us at this feast and share with us the pleasures of this day. The richest gift that you can give to me is your permission to go out and find those needy ones and bring them here that they may feast with us. Yakim said, 'Tis well. Go out and find the needy boys and girls and bring them here. We will prepare enough for all. And Yehoshua did not wait. He ran. He entered every home and hut and den of the town. He did not waste his words. He told his mission everywhere. And in a little time, 103 score of happy children were following Yehoshua on Marmion Way. The guests made way. The banquet hall was filled with Yehoshua's guests, and Yehoshua and his mother served. And there was food enough for all, and all were glad. So the birthday gift of Yehoshua was a crown of righteousness. Islam, Islam, Islam. At this time, we want to turn the meeting back into the hands of our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shedu Amenti El Mohejet Shepsuel. Islam?
Islamism. Can you hear me, sister?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Gratitude. Islam, Islam, Islamism without the schism. Want to rise once again upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin, once again here, there, and everywhere, And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. Want to give honors to this grand droid that we're getting ready to bring forth on the manifest, and it's going to be a powerful one. But we can't come forth without laying the foundation with our Book of Fire. And so we want to come from our Book of Fire, and the actual pages that we will be coming from is actually 322. And want to start at Be Conscious of Biblical Beginning. Get our scribes to volunteer. We ain't got a whole lot here.
Islam 322.
Mm-hmm. And you can go over to actually above back to the Greeks on 324. Islam. And we can get our Grand National Secretary of State to go from 324 to 326. And that's above the making of the first God, Ishin. Islam.
Islam. And I will start reading. Be conscious of biblical beginnings. To this day, most do not know they have been lied to by those who wrote the word of God in their Koine Street Greek language. The biblical Adam and Eve saga was among the first literature the slaves were allowed, force-fed to read, and was greatly enforced with barbaric doses of the fear of white man God by European rulers and slave masters alike. This was the sole purpose for Freemasonry, the Reconstruction Amendment of the Ku Klux Klan. The embellishment were to save these black sinning heathens from their own wretchedness and for their unconscious institution of slavery's New World Order. Albeit since the Greeks' biblical version is the only version of Adam and Eve known to so-called blacks, then let's sojourn there and see what they look like in the light. But bear in mind the divine origin of the original Hebrew laws of Moses back in the Egyptian mystery system, and the basic European translation of these biblical teachings evolved into a middleman religion of events, which quite candidly he brewed up. Also remember now, as the Moorish Americans began to write their own history, had it not been for Noble Drew Ali revealing these great truths of the divine origin of African nations, the Western world would not be forced to concede to over 2,000 years of fabricated religious dogma with their information highways and cyberspace intelligence. The true story of Adam and Eve is all about the divine creation and heritage of the original African people. They were not only the first man to people the planet Earth, but their will was emerged with the will of their Father God. Drew Ali placed this in the science of Asiatic and Muslims, the mothers and fathers of the human family. Question 57. Here it would be good to note a Muslim is anyone who submits his or her will entirely to the will of the great God. Hence, Adam and Eve were Muslims before they became Asiatics and human. During the millennium of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and unto the world called Asia, there were no Europeans made. The hueless ones of the Netherlands were not even a thought. But now, today's pale-skinned nation have had the privilege of governing the earthland, telling his story. All of a sudden, they are the foremost authority on the original first family, Adam and Eve. Surely this is parallel only to a bastard given the apocalypse of great grandparents of hearing fish stories being told by date trees, Mutz telling the history of his pedigree, or the green monkey that fathered AIDS. Speaking of monkeys, how is it an entire people who proudly proclaim to evolve from primates know the true history about the human family? Was it not these same people who pillaged the prophetic and oral history from the Hebrew tribe in the first place? Not only that, but as unconscious Moors try to paint themselves black into a biblical history, little do they notice it is the pale-skinned nation of Europe themselves who denounce all claims to biblical human family. This paganistic practice of making God in the image and likeness of man is a gratified weakness among the nations of the earth. In these modern times, the nation of Europe named themselves white, then made Yehoshua in their image and called him God. Domesticated African slaves being forbidden first-rate entry into white Freemasonry and white Christianity were allowed to make their own version of their institution in the quiet of their slave quarters. Today, these are various NBC fraternal orders and Christian denominations fully equipped with their own version of the Bible, complete with black Yehoshuas and surrounding characters in their image and likeness. Oh, the horrors of fallen humanity. Can all this be blamed on the rabid hormones of Mr. and Mrs. Monkey? The biblical story of Adam and Eve, as told by many religions of the cross, originated from Moses and various Hebrew slave tribes of Africa. Most of these tribal stories lost their spiritual significance in the translation from Africa origin to European carnal comprehension. What was later reported to the world, diluted and spiritually deprived version of Greek interpretation of the creation and fall of man. These diverted rays of the truth were not the real thing, but have predominantly botched the modern West. Not to speak radical against the church, but it seems to me anyone who teaches man cannot be perfected and then give the great God a mama named Mary should know eventually they would have to face the truth sought by inquiring minds. How did the Greeks fit into biblical history? Turning to the centuries surrounding the life of Yehoshua BC, BC AD, history reveals the Romans and Greeks were governing Palestine. Question 28. In fact, Greek was made the national language, although the indigenous like Yehoshua continued to speak Aramaic. 2 King 18 and 26, Ezra 4 and 7. The tongue of their forefathers. This is similar to English being made the national language of the United States, although the Southern Canaanites, tribes, Indians, continue to speak Cubican and other indigenous dialects. True history will also reflect the Greeks thought all language other than Greek sounded like blah blah ho hum de blah, and considered all non-Greeks barbarians. There are two levels to Greek language: classical, correct or proper Greek, and Koine. Koine Greek is the everyday common street language with standard colloquial trash talking expression and general ad-libbing Greek. After the beginning, Koine became the Word of God. You guessed it, the Septuagint, parentheses, first translation of the Bible, was translated entirely in Koine Greek. Naturally, since the Greek and Romans give themselves the title of God, question 92, and wrote their Bibles in Greek and Latin, it is not strange for today's Black Christians, etc., to defend their master's book as the Word of God. To most of them, the only God they have ever known is the same master which wrote the Bible and then used the same book to justify the Maafa of Africa enslavement. Actually, the origin of the Word of God began as the words of the ancient Pharaoh and simply means voice of the ruler of the land. Question 93. People, namely so-called Negroes, who refer to the Bible as being the Word of God, are in fact giving praises to the words of the Greek. And through various paganistic forms, they are pleasing themselves. They are pleasing themselves, make Europeans, parentheses, white men, their God. This does not mean there are no truths in the Bible. Quite the contrary. What this means is the Bible is not and was not ever the Word of God, but the words of the Greeks. It does not matter how much the Negro pastor hop, sweat, and spit in the name of Jesus, the letter J, pale-skinned God, and all came from the Greeks and was traumatized into the slaves by the European brothers. It must be remembered in the minds of the Greeks, they were the only gods. As a people, they could not fathom a divine and subsequently could not perceive a God greater than themselves, unless it was an African God-man who they call Yehoshua to this very day. No European nation knew or worshiped the great God. As Drew Ali wrote, man's highest idea is his God. The Greeks at their greatest were not powerful enough to completely hide the holy light of Africa that was centralized in ancient Kemet, Egypt, parentheses, Egypt. Nevertheless, once the truth had been confounded, it is no longer pure and can do more harm than healing. Where the Greek and other European have fallen short on African comprehension is for anyone to know the spirit, they must be the spirit. The Greeks, neither Romans nor any of the pale-skinned invaders of the Holy Land, never fully understood the spiritual foundation of Hebrew, Aramaic, parentheses, sister language to Arabic, nor any of the over 200 language of Acubulan. Note, Acubulan means mother of mankind or garden of Eden. It is in the descendant language Swahili of the ancient Kushite, Acubilum is the indigenous name given to the continent, later misnomer Africa by the Romans. Her first true and divine name is Amexem, which means land of the holy gods or land of the holy people. Moorish Holy Quran 46:3. The reason for this lack of transliteration is not because Africans were the primitive monkey built pagans as portrayed by virtually every European Bible pusher since Constantine (280 through 337 AD). It is simply because they could not understand the boundless spirit realm. They could not measure what they could not see with their carnal eyes. The world of hallowed covenant, holistic cultures, and the line uniting divinity and matter is incomprehensible to those unable to see inward, see the third eye. This was the foremost lesson for the Adamite to learn. Whenever European rulers failed to understand the infinite and the timeless, they would either try to destroy or distort the subsequent manifest. These thoughts draw strength from the bowels of envy, lust, and hatred. It is in the nature of hatred to be short-sighted, a slave to time, and fearful of anything it does not create. Therefore, the foundation of the Bible rests upon a great conspiracy. It was the amalgamation between the Sanhedrin (beginning with Caiaphas) and the government of Europe rule to nationalize the Jewish religion under the Roman government. The world's greatest cover-up since Adam tried to hide from his maker had begun. Rome's subjugation of Israel's religion is rooted in the fringe crucified death and resurrection of Rabboni Yehoshua. Those Jews who would not conform to the government version of Judaism were later called Christians, not because they were pious like Yehoshua the Christ, but because the title Christian distinguished the rebellious Jews from those willing to compromise under the Roman yoke and law. Yes, the first Christians were Jews. This is why Yehoshua warned John to beware of those who call themselves Jews and are not. Revelation 2:9. Today, this Roman assembled jurisdiction of civic customs is reenacted in the United States takeover of prohibition and the lotteries, number games, etc. Remember, selling liquor and running numbers were crimes of felony when acted by America's common people, but a government control of poor people's pleasure was legalized by the use of one word: license. A license is a document of authorization to a practice that would otherwise be illegal. Black Laws Dictionary. Oppression can do strange and often unimaginable things to the human mind. Weak-minded Jews became Christians the same way Pope-free African Muslims have become pig-feet-eating Negro Christians of USA today. The powerful effect of oppression have never been truly measured on the minds of U.S. slaves. The Bible, with its Hebrew Greek version of Adam and Eve, was siphoned from the Israelites during their state of iron hand oppression. The Greeks recognized the Comedian Egyptian influence in the Mosaic laws because Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Hippocrates, etc., had all received their formal education in the Egyptian mystery system, parentheses, not to mention the notorious Alexander the Greek. The reader should also remember Moses, being raised as an Egyptian aristocrat, received the foremost teaching of its ancient Adept mystery system. These teachings also included perfection of the God self with its powers of dominion over all other living things created by the seven eyes of Allah, the Elohim. This is why the Pharaoh's heart appeared hardened. Pharaoh simply knew all the sciences of the God man, which Moses had mastered before being exiled. The Egyptian sages were simply not impressed with the exploit by one of their former students, who they viewed now as a traitor for taking the secret teachings into those forbidden lands in the north. Yehoshua the prophet also received these lessons summa bono in the Egyptian temples, featuring Sultanate, meaning man know thyself. See religious finale. Islam, Islam, Islam. Now we'll turn it over to our National Grand Secretary of State to continue reading. Islam.
Islam, gratitude, having already risen, giving praise and honor where due. Back to the Greeks. The books of Moses, collectively called the Torah, translated from the Hebrew language containing no vowels into Greek, lost a world of spiritual definition in the very first draft of the Bible's Old Testament. The Greek version of the Holy Bible, called the Septuagint, the Greek word for 70. 70 is also the Egyptian number for brotherhood. The Septuagint acquired its title from the Council of the 70 rabbis that convened to translate the Torah into a low-class Greek language. All subsequent Bibles trickled down from this one, example given, the Roman Catholic, parentheses, Latin. The infamous King James Version spurned more than 3,000 variations, edited, revised, and fraternal Word of God. Did I mention the Holy Quran and the ancient Bhagavad Gita has never been changed? This history is pertinent to Adam and Eve because most of the westernized world is only aware of their biblical version. Yet the Bible was never written by a single prophet, as are other sacred tablets. This is because every major prophet always leaves a holy book of guidance for their special people. And while most Christian scholars are drenched in a maze of unresolved questions about Adam, Eve, Cain, the flood, Moses, the missing 18 years of Yehoshua's life, etc., rarely does anyone question who titled the Bible holy in the first place, or who said it is the Word of God. Another master question is, since there is no difference between the great God and his name, who is the God that wrote the Holy Bible? The truth is, the era of Moses was about 1300 BC. The oldest Hebrew story in the Bible only dates back to a little less than 4000 BC. Good gracious. There are pyramids and mounds older than these Hebrew stories. The ancient seafaring Moabites had circumnavigated the entire continent of Amexium by 8000 BC. There were many African civilizations that gave birth to the tribes of Israel, collectively known as Hebrews. In fact, is it not strange that Adam's son Cain already knew his wife, although they were in Nod, east of Eden? Genesis 4:16 through 17. The entire story of Adam and Eve marks the two great civilizations. The first was during the founding of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu. This one was before the catastrophic earthquake, which is often confused with the 40-day biblical monsoon called the flood. When Moses led the tribes out of Egypt, east into the promised land, did I mention the Moabites were already using Moab, the Amorites were busy in Ammon, and there were some Canaanites still in Canaan? In other words, the promised land, quote unquote, was already being occupied by natives of that era. An accurate history would also reflect that the Promised Land was another lawful province of ancient Kemet, Egypt. During this time, the only gods of the civilized world were the pharaohs who were rulers of the earthland. Parentheses, they were not too pleased with those who called themselves Jews squatting on their land across the sea. It seems the descendants of those self-proclaimed Jews of that era would be repeating the same exodus 3,300 years later in the 1948 Western-backed proclamation of Islamic occupied land. Case in point. The biblical Hebrew stories are not the true origin of the human family. These stories are mostly abstract versions of the divine creation, fall, and perfection of man. These histories of the world were learned by an enslaved people, parentheses Hebrews, while under the Kemethian rule and mystery system, the world's first religious creed, Islamism. By slaves never being greater than their masters, they rarely understand the origin or nature of their master's creed. Anyway, the original Hebrews with Moses' Egyptian teachings did not believe that God or man had beginnings, nor did they believe that spirit man could die, not as long as the great God lives. The Egyptians had taught Moses that man is a perfect being. This is why the great Torah, in its original Hebrew text, is by far more accurate than today's infamous Word of God. But only a few Negro, black, colored people dig back far enough to the origin of a given matter. The truth of the creation and fall of man states, time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time would come when it would end. Moore's Holy Quran, chapter 1. In contrast to this immutable truth, the Greeks' Holy Bible gave God, the creation, and man various time slots, with the Bible's infamous opening alpha passage of, in the beginning, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning is the Greek misinterpretation of the Hebrew oral history and became the start of today's Once Upon a Time introduction to some Western stories. Only one kind of person would equate the infinite absolute with the finite duration called time. Perhaps this is why Noble Drew Ali stated, finite mind cannot comprehend things infinite. Ironically, the majority of the man-made people, parentheses, American, Negro, blacks, have not figured out one major problem. With all the religious and political world rulers and evangelistic preaching about love for humanity, why is it that none of the major religions teach them the truth of who they are? But then again, the problem itself has been a secret till now. Now, with some of the biblical discrepancies and other Greek/Roman slants to the original man aforementioned, let us now remind ourselves of Africa's Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, as documented, is the ancient Kemethian and Moabite record of spirit man's descent into human form and conscious liberation back to the all of his God state again. For those, quote unquote, Black African Americans, especially, stuck in the stupor of disbelief and never questioned what God, parentheses Greek, is the Bible truly the word of. They need to review one historical revelation. The modern world is nearly 86% populated by people of olive skin. There are Bibles in all of them, even Islamic countries. Yet, how many nations and tribes of African descent, parentheses all people of hue, own and rule their indigenous land without European intervention? But the Bible and its trademark, quote unquote, cross are in these places. And who is the economic, parentheses, and more often than not political, social, and religious ruler of their lands? How much has truly changed since the era of Brother Yehoshua? See Illuminati. So what does this have to do with Adam and Eve? Value. Just plain value. Security is what gives a thing value. An accurate, unbiased, and truthful history of any place, person, and time is what gives it value. Security is a manifest of purity, cleanliness, and truth. To see Adam, Ish, and Eve, Isha, in their God state, as the original man chosen to be made from the soils of Eden, Amexium, Akubalon, Africa, then as the first humans to walk the earth is to know their true history. The true history of Adam and Eve is so infinitely valuable to the Moorish. These were the children of Adam, Ish, and Eve, Isha, because they honored them as their divine link to their creator. As long as the Moorish nations remembered their sacred origin, they could not be mentally enslaved. This is why it took the nations of Europe under the Roman Catholic/Christian Crusades 2,000 years to break the minds of the Moors and whitewash away Adam and Eve from their memories. In fact, without speaking radical, the Bible is the chief agitator of the whitewashing machine of Adam and Eve. This is the reason they, the prophets and Yehoshua, appear suddenly pale-skinned in the final rinse of the colored churches of today's Vatican subsidies. The value of a divine history. Hardly any so-called Negroes, colored folk, or black people read Isha, and Isha into when they were gods in the garden. Today they cannot fathom their ancient foreparents as being these gods that walked the earth. Even fewer know they were sun-kissed, with melanin embodied with flesh from the holy, rich grounds of Africa. Less have siphoned the reason why the Holy Lands are in Africa is because it gave birth to the holy people. Tragically, even smaller amounts accept the value of knowing Adam and Eve are their mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims. But then again, some have been miseducated via a primate evolution. Truth is, because they are not a free nation of people, today's Negro, black, colored is by far more trained than educated. This formula is verified by the fact only property can be trained while education belongs to the citizens of free national governments. Hence, Negro and blacks being property names that identify those persons detached from the human family and not having father or mother can only be trained at best. Since the NBC does not have a divine history, they can be trained like domesticated beasts to be professors, judges, generals, and congressmen, etc. For any master's government and social benefit. In the end, no property can accrue national prestige, wealth, independence, or prosperity. Islam, at this time, we want to turn the class back into the hands of our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shedo Amenti and Mohamed Shepsuel. Islam?
Islamism. Islam, Islam, Islam. Want to again give honors, to you goddesses and queens for reading. This was a grand drawing and also opening up the way. Praise be to Allah, for you scribeses, that are on the manifest. We got a good little bit of ground to cover, some grand measures to bring on the manifest, no doubt. We have some very powerful drawings to bring to the manifest in order to bring our people into some enlightenment. This E.A.R.S session is in reference to dealing with Ptah, which is commonly known to the masses as Coptic. And so we will be going into this special drawing to refresh the hearts and minds of our people in relation to dealing with the Heka and everything it is that we have to bring on the manifest when it comes to dealing with this language and some of the things that our people may have not known in reference to dealing with the origins of the language. So, we always want to come forth and share a lot of things. And what I'm doing right now is I actually have some excerpts because we don't have a PDF of this demonstration. And I'm trying to get these uploaded real quick so that we can share this with our people We like to give them visuals because this allows our family to be involved with what it is that we demonstrate. So praise be to Allah for all of the things that have been brought forth thus far, and we have nothing but attestations and proof for everything it is that we demonstrate. Everything that we speak on, we can speak upon it intelligently because we actually have the source material to prove what it is we state. And this is the way it will always be when we deal with us over here. There will never be a time to where we just begin to speak on a thing and don't have the proper information to back up what it is we're saying. And we don't just choose any source material. We don't do that. We choose source material that is most definitely relevant, and we choose source material that's coming from reliable sources. And when we look at reliable sources, we look at, in most cases, it's coming in some way from either the natives or even some of our own scholars who go out into the field and they do the work that is necessary to enlighten our people and bring them into the consciousness of this special information. So we can't praise Allah enough for giving us the ability to be able to clarify everything it is that we bring forth, family. We are no means in doubt about anything that we bring forth to our people, because everything it is that we bring forth always checks out to be what it is. We was just speaking with the scribes earlier, demonstrations of divine humor on how it's almost natural for us to be able to receive what it is the ancestors intend for us to receive in order to bring more clarity to you all. So this is a powerful measure we're getting ready to go into. We laying a foundation now so that the people, again, that are here with us, they will also be founded in this information. We don't want to never go into a situation where we are speaking above the pay grade, so to speak, of our people, and putting them in a situation to where they are at loss, because we are here to educate the people. We are here to educate the people. We're not here by any means to confuse the people. So it's a powerful measure that we have to bring on the Manifest family. We just encourage our family to have their paper and their pen on handy. Be studious, and you can learn something. Some of us may already know some of these things and be familiar with them, and this may strengthen us as well, who may not be so familiar, or even if you are familiar, it may add on to what it is that you already have. So let's look at it in that particular light, because a lot of people like to ask the question, well, how is this information, going to advance you? And, well, it all depends on the individual. If you are one who basically deal with trying to know, be in the know or whatever, become knowledgeable, and you want to know exactly what it is that's demonstrated and speak upon it intelligently, then you don't have a state of impatience when you're dealing with this stuff. You are very patient, and you're willing to learn, and you're willing to go through whatever it is that it takes to learn, that you may become proficient, so to speak, when it deal with this information. So we got a lot of ground to cover, like I said, and we definitely got a grand measure to bring on the Manifest. Again, we're going to be dealing with the Ptah, and we just ask that we have your listening ear, and ask that you be willing to get in here and do this work with us. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just, again, loading up these tabs, because it closed that one out for me, I see. So, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go this route then. Because I want to make sure that I load these documents up so y'all can get them. And also, family, while we're doing this, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe. And also make sure, if you don't do nothing else, you share this information so that our family can get it. But sometimes when I be sharing it, it don't be seen for some odd reason. You know, we know what time it is, but sometimes it's not seen when I'm sharing it, family. So we want to encourage our family to share this information so that it becomes that which goes viral, so to speak. So let me get these other documents up here. I want to welcome all of our family out there in social media who are here faithfully, those who are in the United States and those who are outside of the states who pay attention to what it is that we have to bring forth, because we have a lot to be offered. And it's a shame that all this information that we're putting out here is going unseen in most cases. You know, it's going unseen. But we definitely here to get it done, and we're going to keep doing these videos. Eventually, the algorithms will begin to love what it is that's being presented, and we're going to make that happen. You know, we're working by all means right now to do that, because the people have to get this content. Because what's going on is that we have those who are actually cherry picking from this information, and they a lot of times they are distorting, you know, these truths that we have, that we are bringing forth to the masses. You know, they repackaging it and trying to make you think that it's something that it ain't. You know, and so yeah, we can't have that. We got to bring this truth. We got to give it to the people and make sure they get it the right way, if they get it at all. You see? So let me see here. I got one more to post here. Okay, and that right there. Hopefully it takes all of this here, because I'm trying to put all the documents in there at one time. Okay, they say that was too much there. Let me see. Let's see. They seeded the file post. I guess I got to post them 2-3 at a time here. Let's see. Yeah, they say that's too much in there, huh? Okay, so we'll do it like this right here. We'll do it just like this here. We already know how to do it. We know what time it is. They want to act like we got too much. They say we got too much information over here, family. TMI. Okay, so let me put this one in here. Some of them may end up being duplications too, by the way. And this is because I just took a bunch of pictures of the pages. Unfortunately, I ain't got no my printer on hand over here to be able to do no copying. But this is just as well. As long as y'all can see it, that's what I'm concerned with. Okay, come on, load on up. I tell you, it seemed like every time, we was talking about that earlier too, every time Rome go to messing with these apparatuses, they make them worse. If they just leave them alone, they'll be all right. But I promise you, it seems like every time they get to messing with this stuff, tampering with it, it always make it worse than what it is. Let's see, 3, let's see, 4. Okay, so, all right, we're going to get this one in here. Okay, get that to the people as well. Again, family, while I'm doing this right here, get them likes up so we can bring the people into this information. I got one more set of these uploads that I'm sending. I'm sending them to my email, and I'm getting ready to open my email up in a minute. Again, we're dealing with the Ptah, or what most people like to call Coptic. It's a lot that our people don't know about what is called the Coptic language because they've been misled by the Europeans as to what Coptic really is. So we're going to get into some of that. Okay, these are the last ones here. And this should be sufficient enough to establish the premise. I want to give honors to our Grand National Chairman as well for the reading from the Book of Fire that our goddess has read. That in and of itself laid a grand foundation when it comes to what was made manifest to give us some insight into this. Okay, so there we go. That's the last one. So now I'm gonna open up my email and I'm gonna share what I have. Okay, inbox, and this is coming from the works of our beloved brother Mustafa Gadala, the ancient Egyptian writing modes, our ancient Egyptian universal writing modes. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, yep, they uploaded. Okay, so let me get back over here. I promise you this thing clicking everywhere but where it's supposed to click at. Okay, there we go. That's what we want right there. So let me open up and share this real quick. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna just hit entire screen just for good measures. Put the sign on. That way when I'm navigating, people can see what's being said. And also let me expand this screen a little bit. Just want to make sure y'all get that. Okay, and now we can go into it. Thanks for those who have had patience. I ain't gonna even try to download them. I'm gonna just open them up. Okay, in this one area, Brother Mustafa Gadala speaks on page 58, and he says, if academies claim that this script was used for religious texts as well as business documents, how is it possible to call this rapid cursive form demotic when it was used for hieratic and sacred purposes in religious writing? And he's showing what is often known as what we call a Coptic script, which is what a lot of people like to misnomer as a Greek script. And notice what he said. He says, Coptic script is claimed by Western academians to be a unique form of cursive writing of the Egyptian language. It is further stated by Western academies by sheer repetition and contrary to the facts that a Coptic form of writing was developed about 300 CE for the use of the Christian population in Egypt, which consisted of, hold up, let me go, this right here should let me go to the next page, if it put it in the order. We'll do it like this right here, because y'all already know where I'm reading from, because this thing don't never posted exactly how it's supposed to be. But anyway, it went on to speak, and we'll still be going through here, and I know it's in here somewhere. Let me see. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. But anyway, it goes on in the book, and it states that, these things consisted of letters of the Greek alphabet with an additional 6 characters derived from the ancient Egyptian demotic script to express sounds that were peculiar to the Egyptian language shown below is a Coptic script from the Nag Hammadi codices. It says it is written in unicals and has the same exact ancient Egyptian letter forms thousands of years before the Greek era. And I'm pretty sure that when we go into this information, if you don't know, let me see. I'm going to do this right here. Show you what he was making a reference to here. This is the Nag Hammadi codices that Mustafa Gadala was just referring to. And I want you to see the script that is here. Just hit accept right there. Said they were made by monks. See, the provenance of the Nag Hammadi codices has been a point of contention among the scholars ever since they were discovered in Upper Egypt in 1945. A new book strongly supports the hypothesis that they were manufactured and read by Christian monks in the 4th and 5th centuries. And if you look at the script that is being used here, this is what is known as Coptic, but it often misnormered Greek. So those who looking at this first sight, because they looked at many movies that were demonstrated by the European, they would often say that this, is Greek, but this is actually the Coptic language. It says 2 of the pages of Nag Hammadi Codex, the second. It says on the left is page 32, showing the end of the Apocryphon of John and the beginning of the Gospel of Thomas. On the right is page 111 and page of the untitled text, commonly referred to as On the Origin of the World. Coptic Museum in Cairo is where you can find this at. So it gives you the history behind these books, how many of them were found, and all of these were written in Coptic, a form of Egyptian language used in the late antique period. They contain 52 works, most of which were previously unknown to modern scholars. It is probable, although not certain, that most of the texts were originally written in Greek, and have been translated into Coptic for the benefit of non-Greek readers. See, this is how a lot of times you'll see where they slide little measures in there and they go to putting sugar on this demonstration. You see, they don't want to just let it be Coptic as it is. They got to try to put Greek in here some type of way, because of the look of the script being so similar, because it's really the same thing. It's just, an addition to 6 or 7 vowels, or, taking away of those vowels that is supposed to deal with the difference between the script. But nevertheless, again, we see this was found in Upper Egypt. So quite naturally, dealing with all of this, and there are more texts here. You see? They even got it here. They say, as if the owners of urban intellectuals steeped in Greek philosophy and culture, why would they read the literary texts in Coptic? They didn't. And brother will bother to translate them from Greek into the first place. It says, why not simply read the text in Greek? See? And that's a question that has to be asked, because in all actuality, they were being read in Coptic. And that's all they were being read in, even though they want to call it something else. But Mustafa Gadala goes on to say in his work, he said the so-called Coptic/Greek script is in fact an ancient Egyptian unicals form of writing. It was the Greeks who adopted from the Egyptians. They adopted them from the Egyptians when they came to Egypt as mercenaries or to study, and not the reverse. So in other words, they've been telling you that Coptic come from Greek, but Mustafa Gadala, a native-born Egyptian, is telling you right here, he said that this so-called Coptic/Greek script is in fact an ancient Egyptian. So it was the Greeks who adopted them from the Egyptians. It says in the 17th century, Father Athanasius Kircher has acknowledged in his extensive analytical works that the Greek script is ancient Egyptian in origin, and for that he was badly ridiculed by his fellow Europeans. It goes on and says false distinctions of Egyptian cursive writing. It says the above arbitrary 3 scripts, the ones that I just showed you, right here. This right here. He was showing the expression. This is one of them. He says the above Western arbitrary 3 scripts, delineations, where it is claimed that the first 2 are of the Egyptian origin while the third is of a Greek origin, are totally false distinctions. The first and second claimed scripts are a distinction without difference of the Egyptian cursive style of writing. As for the unical writing style, it is an Egyptian style that was adopted by the Greeks, as will be shown in several areas of this book. It says, and I think I actually have this right here too. I think I have this right here in I think this is the next page coming up here, well, at least a couple of them. Okay, I see that. Yeah, here it is right here. That's the same thing I'm reading from the book. So it says, this style of writing, it says for a unical writing style is an Egyptian style that was adopted by the Greeks and will be shown in several areas of this book. Let us leave the unical style, so-called Coptic/Greek, for a later discussion. It says, in concrete, our efforts here on the cursive writings, it says, which were arbitrarily delineated by Western academics as hieratic and demotic. It says the clear evidence is that Western academics call hieratic script and the demotic script have no special, real hieratic purpose. In other words, what the European talking about, they have no knowledge of what it is that they're speaking of. And I see these the other measures going further into the hieratic demotic. So let's go to my other second set of what I sent, because that's what it's doing, is look like it's backlogging. Okay. Okay, I already read that one, so I don't have to read it again. Here's a drawing right here when it was dealing with a portion of this information. It says Western academia renamed the real unical script that the ancient Egyptians used for religious purposes as Coptic, right? It says, which they declared to be an Egyptian adaptation of Greek alphabet with some additional letters from Demotic. There is not a single historical record that confirmed their fabricated assertions. The so-called Coptic and Greek scripts are basically an ancient Egyptian form of writing which was later adopted by the Greeks. So this is why I keep telling you, ain't no such thing as the Greek language. You see? And the real reference to the language in this stage is actually Heka. We know that Meteray and Kemet is what they call in the Greek hieratic. The so-called Greek dictionaries, they call it, right? But this is really Heka. So this is hieratic. It's really Meteray and Kemet by definition, according to the language. Then you have what we call second Insha, which they like to call Incorio or Uncorio in Demotic. And then you have what they call Coptic, which is really Heka. You see? So once you understand that, it's very easy to comprehend what's going on and what's been done here. Trying to find that other portion in here. Okay, we got that one. Well, this is just going into the thievery, so to speak. Let's see. Yep. Talking about a bogus decipherment. dealing with the various different papyri. There is one more. Let me go into my other group. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Like I said, I did a couple of these a few times. They talk about a whole bunch of the documents, though, that they start calling Greek. Wasn't really Greek. Right here, for example. It says, ancient Egyptians, for their religious writings, so as to accredit the European Greeks with a new language. It says, the Western scheme regarding inventing a separate Greek language needed documents, and therefore they robbed Egyptian documents and then set arbitrary dates to undated Egyptian texts so as to make them fit into their scheme, to proclaim them as Greek texts. They went further, add names of Ptolemaic kings when the text never mentioned a name, because as always, in ancient Egypt, no calendrical date is ever mentioned. And the Egyptians never mentioned the name of a sitting pharaoh. Much more about the corruption and deceit of Western academics in regard was explained early in chapter 9, multiple writing forms of the Rosetta Stone. So they letting you know that they didn't even have calendrical dates on certain things. So I had people, how do you give information if you don't demonstrate dates? But the ancient Egyptian demonstrated the same way. You see? We measure time by cycle ages. We don't get caught up into petty time frames. So, they got a couple of different areas in here where they did that. Let me get this last one here. Okay. These are the actual alphabets. And this says below is a comparative chart of Greek and West Semitic writings. And as you can see here, they have the Athens version, the Crete version, the Thera, Corinth. And if you look at this, don't this look real familiar? It looks like an alphabet that we know very well, i.e. Phoenician. This particular expression here. Here's another chart here showing the same thing. They calling it Greek, but look at all the other names and all these other different nations that have the same script: Sardinia, Cyprus, Zinchria, all the way to what they call I.R.S. This is the same script that's used by Phoenician. This script was used universally, family. There's something that's in the bottom, though, I want to blow up and bring to the measure. Robbing and post-dating the Egyptian scripts to rename them as Greek. I read one portion of that a few minutes ago. This is the other portion. In order to rob Egypt of a script so as to call it Greek, Western academic schemes begin with confusing the issue about the ancient Egyptian alphabetical writing system. The fact remains that the so-called hieratic and Demotic scripts are nothing more than a single alphabetical system for non-religious writings. See, Western academia colonized the Coptic script that was used by, the ancient Egyptians. And I read that portion to you earlier. So the point is made plain and the truth is laid bare here, of what's being done. Now the question is whether or not we accept that. That's on us. So let me get this here and stop sharing the screen. And I'm going to reshare it. And as I do this, we want to be able to go into this other area here. We always have to refresh ourselves on this. We know our scribes are already familiar with this, but some of our people may not be. So these are, the actual letters here, that they are saying in this particular document, the Coptic, these are the letters that they say that makes a difference between what is Coptic and what is called Greek. These letters right here. And these are said to be Demotic letters. So the Demotic letters, are definitely right there in the realm of the Coptic script, which is showing proof that Demotic gave birth to Coptic to a certain degree. But yet in all actuality, at root, the alphabetical system was all one expression, just having different symbols and certain signs that were added on to them. So we can see right here, prime example of what we're talking about. And we show this example all the time. And if Coptic was the language that came after Demotic, then how do they keep putting Greek in front of the Coptic? We always ask that question. If the Ptah was the next stage after Demotic, then how do they keep saying that Demotic, or rather Coptic part itself, well, how do they keep saying that Coptic comes from Greek? Don't make no sense. Even in the statement of the phonetic expression, alpha, beta, we see the sound shift between the B and the V. Gamma, same, right? Delta, E, epsilon, right? Still the same expression, right? Su, not used as a Greek letter. Okay. Zeta, eta, theta, theta. This is all what we call difference in dialect, family. No different than saying shalom and salam. Eshalom alaikum, assalamu alaikum. Same thing. Iota, kappa, labla, lamba, me, mu, ne, nu, eski. Same thing here. Ki, o, omicron. Okay. P, pi, rho, sigma, tav, epsilon, upsilon, phi, phi. You see the sound shift there? Chi, chi, epsi, psi, o, omega. Come on, family. Look at this. All you got to do is look at it. Same alphabet. Just different styles of expression. What's here? Come on, man. These people know what they're doing. They just trick you. Or tried to anyway, trick you out of what it is you demonstrate. So let's stop playing. So once you have this information, family, can't nobody take it from you. See, this is how they often give you order of information. They say hieroglyphic, Old Egyptian, right? Which we know we have proof that the hieroglyphs were really enigmatic writing. They were cryptographic from an ancient Kemetic standpoint, and that they were rock art in the beginning, just pictorials on rocks that didn't have no particular meaning to them. And then ideographs became the drawing, meaning that each and every one of these pictures represented a word and a word expression, you see. And then you had many pseudo scripts that were produced from those pictures. We had one come up out of the Meroitic dynasty, which we call Meroitic. We had one, few of them actually, that went into the realm of what we call the Hebrew, because there are actually about 2 or 3 different pictorial scripts that were actually created in a constant fashion, from the Hebrew standpoint. So that's 4 different scripts that were so-called trying to be brought forth in pictures, but yet the ancient Egyptians don't have an alphabet chart. All these other nations have a chart that was created with pictures, but ancient Kemet don't have a chart outside of the one that was created by Champollion. And this is why I keep challenging a lot of those who claim they demonstrate with the language to find a chart where the ancient Egyptian was demonstrating. And we know they can't do that now because we just had in our last session, our scribe showed you the oldest attested alphabet to exist, and it's rooted in the HLMH and also the ABG or the Abjad. And all of those come from the ancestors, so to speak. But you would not find an alphabet chart in the way that Champollion demonstrated among our people. So this is the clarity that has to be brought forth when we bring this on the manifest. The alphabet has always been the hieratic, the pseudo glyphs, and we had some measures where we showed that in our last drawing, where we had a brother who out here teaching the people, same brother that challenged Walter Williams, Wajau. We have him in there stating that this was a pseudo script. Even modern academia will tell you that themselves, Western academia. So they say, well, from the Proto-Sinaitic then comes the Aramaic Hebrew and Arabic and so forth and so on. And then this is where you get into the truth and falsehood strangely mixed. But when you go into the Phoenician, notice it comes directly in line with the alphabets. You see, you had hieratic here, and see how close it is related. So it actually comes off of here and branches over. Then it comes here, and then we can see these things here come on the manifest. And then they want to say that Greek comes here, but we know Greek didn't come first in the line of hieratic and demotic. They broke it off to this side, but they still got Greek up here, like Greek gave birth to Coptic. You see what I'm saying? No. This Coptic came before the Greek, and then this so-called Greek, began to get a set of leg of his own and begin to walk itself, right down here into our time and so forth and so on. So normally, when you go into a lot of this information based upon Western academia, we have to make these minor corrections along the way because we are currently still in the writing of our material, that you will be able to reference later, so you won't have to go through all this here. We're doing the work for our people, so they give various different consonant letters. You already know, I just showed you the list on it earlier. They're showing you how to write it and everything, if that's what you're interested in doing. If you like to read some documents that are dealing with the Heka, then this is something you can come into. And this is actually one of the most easiest languages out of all of them, because you can actually see, what's actually being said here in most cases. You see, you can see what's being said here, right here. If you look at this, you can see what's being put forth. The same thing being said here in this Coptic, you can kind of make the letters out right here. So you can see how easy it is here. Look at that. Pay attention to it. I'm going to blow that up. So it ain't too much you have to do to learn these things here. Just become familiar with a few letters. But the majority of them look basically as we see our own language. You can see it here. You can see what's actually being sounded out. See the N-A-N, nan, J, the way they break it down. See the nine, nan, the J9, nan. You can see that being depicted here. So it ain't a whole lot really to be done in learning this, but just learning the different signs, and learning, the different areas that correspond with the different phonetic values that we have here. So once you learn that, you pretty much got it when it comes to this language. This is one document, that give a series of lectures. It even goes into some of the sound shifting right here, like the B and the V, the Th and the T, the V, I, and O, the G, N, and so you can see all of this here. All of the consonantal letters. They give a good breakdown in this particular small PDF right here. If you're interested in learning, these things, and you'll see certain words, and that way you can go into some of this papyri that has been found, and you can take a look at it yourself. And once you're able to take a look at some of this stuff yourself, well, it becomes obvious. Can't nobody tell anything. These are the numbers. You can actually count, because every system of alphabet has a gematria value. So if I was dealing with gematria based on this particular alphabet, I would use these numbers here on the side to do my gematria. And all of those, and a lot of times they will actually correspond to the alphabet itself. They have the Lord's Prayer up here, broke down in Coptic. They also have the Arabic up here. And if you know the Arabic, you know that this is basically saying up here in Coptic what's being said in the Arabic. You see? So, yeah, this is powerful. All you got to do is come into the knowledge. And for our scribes that's familiar with this, they know that this is basically the transliteration here. This is the Arabic version, but this is what we call the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Our daily bread give us this day. Forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Same thing. Different drawing. And it says amen. It don't, when we go here, it don't say nothing about in Jesus' name. It just ends amen. But they taught you to say in Jesus' name. And that's why it's good to learn the script. I knew that real early right there. That was one of the things I asked the brothers in, the church, like, wait a minute. When it say, after you end the Lord's Prayer, say amen. It don't say in Jesus' name. You add that in there. That's just like when the Muslims say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. We know what that means. There is no God but Allah. And Muhammad is his prophet. But at the end of the day, it's really all about La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. Because sometimes, we can become so overzealous in what it is we demonstrate, we'll end up indirectly putting the prophet on a level to where you're actually worshiping them almost. And you don't want to do that. So that's why we say all praise be to Allah. All praise be to the Most High God. Surely Allah is exalted above that, which they associate with it. You know what I mean? That's how pure one has to be in their concept. And this same thing, we don't when it comes to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, we do not worship Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You see, you don't worship no prophet. And all of them told you that. Unfortunately, some people just didn't get the memo. But that's a whole nother measure. So what I want to do is I want to open up the floor right now for my scribeses, and see what it is that they have to bring forth thus far, because we demonstrate a lot of open discussion at this particular level. Islam. You there, scribe? Islam, Secretary of the State.
Islam, having already risen, giving praise and honor we're due. I am so grateful to the class, as always. Gratitude for the selection and reading from the Book of Fire. And, just in reviewing, dealing with Heka, and bringing forth the source materials. And, it just reminds me of the same thought pattern or the same MO in reference to trying to insert themselves into our special history, even to the fact of post-dating and, the various tables and, for lack of a better word, how you have various tables and things that want to reiterate how Greek was here first. Is just ludicrous, especially when you have Mustafa Gondola's demonstration in reference to the hieratic, demotic, and bringing forth these special lessons going through Phoenician, etc. You can actually see, and it makes sense. And when you do the comparative chart dealing with the other languages to see the similarities, or even just comparing the Coptic to the Greek, knowing now the key being Coptic or Heka was here first, and just looking for yourself with your own eyes, recognizing the fact that these letters are similar, dealing with sound shifting and things of that nature, then you can see that there's deception brought forth. And this is what has been brought to the rest of the world, while they think even to this day, our people have contributed nothing to civilization, and nothing could be further from the truth. Islam?
Islamism. You couldn't have said it and made it more cleaner and pure, Grand Secretary of the State. That's right. And once we're able to give this history from this perspective, as we have already, you won't make a mistake when it comes to teaching your people. And nobody can ever come and say to you that you lied to them, because you told them the truth. And this goes all the way back to, the way in which the pictorials were used, and we have evidence of everything it is that we say, and I said, that I wasn't going to go into it, but I am going to go into it, because we upon that now. I'm going to let my sister Curta Bay come forth first, and then I'm going to share with you what I'm talking about, because I got plenty of room to do it right now, so I might as well. So, Sister Curta Bay.
Islam. I tell you, this is just a powerful class. I'm enjoying everything, and like you showing us, you showing us how I can remember though. I can remember when I first saw the Coptic, that Coptic language. I too thought that was Greek, because that was way back when we had started our own church and stuff, and just looking at that, I thought that was Greek, because that's all we knew. And even at that time, that early time in my life, I didn't know about Alexander coming in there, and we give honors. I give honors to my National Grand Chairman for writing the Exhument of a Nation, and that reading we did. Oh man, that was so powerful, because that's where a lot of our miseducation started, with that Bible and stuff. But nevertheless, like I said, even back then, because I didn't know no better, I thought that was Greek, and I thought that the Greeks did everything, until Allah kept bringing me forward to where He wanted me to be now, and my eyes start opening, and we start asking questions. We start, like the chairman was talking about, even in our reading, what we did this morning, we start questioning the Bible. I mean, that was a big step for us, coming from Christianity and stuff, because you thought that the Bible was the Word of God. You did not question it, but and if you did, you're gonna be looked at as a heathen, ostracized, or whatever. And but we start questioning. Wait a minute, this don't make no sense. And then as as we continue to seek, the great God Allah continues to draw us and drive us and let us come into these different truths. And look where I'm at now. I'm learning. I mean, great God Allah brought me right to a place where I could know the truth and get it from the beginning. And Dr. Shaheed, we give you your honors too, because you have taken time and patience with us and given us this information. And the more I go over it, the more I understand and the clearer it becomes to me. And like you were showing us how the Greek, they want to try to, well, we already know that they always have tried to insert themselves into the history, like our grand chairman wrote in the book. That's his story. That's his story. And you know what? I was just talking to the National Grand Secretary. When I think about this whole thing, family, when I think about how we are the ones who made the Europeans, okay? We are the ones who made them. And they went out because we fell in our thoughts and everything. They went out and then took over. And I look at that, what we are doing now, we are the parents. And we are coming back to straighten out the children that we made, them disobedient children that we made, because they then misled you, confuse you, bamboozle you, and run you amok with their information. But we now are the parents. We coming back and putting them in check. We are taking you from the very beginning and letting you know that they were not the Greeks did not invent the Coptic or Coptic. None of that. They weren't even, like in our Zooming of a Nation where I read, they weren't even a thought at a certain time. How are they going to be the authority on something and they weren't even in existence? Make it make sense to me. I don't understand that. How you gonna tell? Like, oh yeah, y'all. Like I said, if y'all don't have the Zooming of a Nation, you need to get that book. It's like our National Grand Chairman said in the book. That's just like a mutt trying to tell a pedigree. Trying to tell his story, but the mutt come from the pedigree. I mean, this is such a powerful lesson, family. And I encourage you, go back and listen to these playbacks. And if you knew, if you want to learn this, teachings what we are doing, go back and listen to Dr. Shaheed got all this stuff out there on his page. Go back and listen and take your time and listen and go through and check it out. Because that's what we tell you. We tell you don't take, and we bring documentation. We bringing you the information. That's all we can do, family. All we want to do is help you to know the truth. Because we are not going to do you like you've been done by some of our other family members. We're going to give you the truth over here. So if you want to know the truth, stay here with us. Stay here with us. Go back and listen to some of the playbacks. Dr. Shaheed, you done got me all fired up over here. Gratitude, God, man, for letting me share. Peace and love.
In gratitude for the measure, goddess and queen. As we always state, you already know, man, when it comes to dealing with this information, we have went high and low, search high and low for a lot of this information to bring it back to our family and bring them some clarity and purity in their thoughts. That's all we've been doing. We've been doing a grand job in this work that we have come on the manifest to demonstrate. You can believe that there is not a stone that we have left unturned when it comes to dealing with this information. And we're going to keep bringing it to you because that's what we're here to do. Teach our people. You know, that's what Prophet Noble Ali taught us. Teach your people. We got the pen in our hand now, and that's what we here to demonstrate. So I'm going to show y'all something in reference to this, because you can't really talk about the Heka without talking about the demonic and the hieratic. So I'm going to show you something we was discussing earlier, you know, because it is important that you know this, so that our people know that the origin of alphabets begin with alphabets and not pictures. Let me pull this up here, because they tried to so-called say that these pictures corresponded with, you know, the Heka corresponded with hieroglyphs and so forth and so on. But we know, as we showed you on the chart earlier, you know, the Phoenician being the oldest of the alphabet, we know it goes back to the master key that we have. So hold on, let me share this real quick. And I'm gonna share the entire screen, because when I get to building, sometime I go forth and don't even like I say, I will be knowing that my screen ain't shared. So let me make this, I want it to share over the whole screen. So let me go here. This is actually another source, family, that we just found. This is also from the Chicago University, and this is coming from Catherine E. Bandy. And I want you to hear, you know, what was said here. But what I want you to do is take a look at this before we even go there. Remember, I had showed y'all this, and I was showing y'all the creation of this and how we created this hieratic master key here. You know, we were able to go and pretty much match all of the alphabet up, because we already told you and showed you this is the tablet that was depicted by DeRoe. I got a lot more information, you know, on a lot of this stuff, but I'll be going into that in a presentation in the future. So when you look at this here, you see the hieratic, and if you can see the cursive writing, that's hieratic. And this is Phoenician, and we showed you the one-to-one comparison between each of these letters, and we can see, you know, where they diverged at. Like this particular measure here is here, but we can also see it here if you were to remove that portion. You know, this top portion, this angle here, we can see how that was connected to this original G here, because that's what that is. That's the D, because that's abjad, A, B, G, and D. You know, this is the E. You can see it. You know, this is the F. You can see it here in this way, and the way it's turned here. You can see the expression of the Z here. You know, and so forth and so on. Each letter, a lot of these things are attested. It's just slight changes. But the hieratic and the Phoenician are very close to each other in semblance. You got to know this is important. That's why I keep going over this, because nobody else had told you this. In other words, what Champollion did with the Coptic, as he called it, or he liked to call it Greek and Demotic, you know, one should have stressed out to demonstrate this measure with the Phoenician, if anything, because the Phoenician is the closest, and it came directly out of hieratic. You see? So being that it came up out of hieratic, this is important. We showed y'all in this little excerpt when we read it to you. Said the forms of the Semitic letters were not derived from the monumental hieroglyphics. You know, they didn't come from hieroglyphics like people been telling you, but the cursive hieratic. So this form of Semitic letters, you know, that are over here from the Phoenician came up out of the hieratic. We can see it by the chart here. You see what I'm saying? And once you understand that right there, your mind is now coming into some clarity. Because see, Champollion told you one thing, you know what I mean? But he didn't really demonstrate what people think he demonstrated. And I ain't going to go all the way into this right now. I'm going to just show you this right here, though. I'm going to show you this. I ain't going to go all the way into this, but I'm going to show you this. When I tell you what I say, when I say that this demonstration ain't been deciphered, you understand the difference between old hieroglyphic name and new name. This is a document of one going at Champollion right here in his time. And I'm going to put this out here in a minute. This 400 pages of straight fire. And they saying everything I've been saying. And I just came across this. And look at what they say. So we didn't just come up with this. Walter William didn't just come up with this. This has been said way before him. Look, it's talking about the table of Abydos. You know, dealing with the legends that have inscriptions of names of kings, they say. You know, and it talks about it with a very high degree of probability in what ring phonetic writing was first used by the Egyptians for all the preceding cartouches, it says, of the table are ideographic, which mean they are pictorials in words and not letters. You see? And man, he goes in on all the names that was used that Champollion supposed to so-called use, to so-called transliterate what he did, and he's showing that none of this could have been possible. You know, because all of these things had to do with ideographic systems and nothing to do with alphabet. So, boy, when I get through putting this together and get ready to bring it on the manifest, because this right here just tear the Rosetta Stone apart. Look here. The only distinction in with their use, which appears to have been preserved, was that whenever the proper name written in the old ideographic style, a fragment of such name was retained. It was always in what they call a nom-cartouche that was placed. And this is talking about the way they chose to order what it is that they brought on the manifest according to these so-called cartouches. They had the pre-nom and the nom, you know. And when we go into the aspects of dealing with that, that's talking about the first name and the last name. That's what nom and pre-nom represent. So they go into Champollion so-called translation in relation to dealing with, you know, different terms. You know, they even match up the different histories of Josephus with that of Manetho, and then tied that into Champollion trying to draw from Manetho, but not realizing that Manetho was given names that were based on ideographics and not alphabets. And in certain cases, Champollion even admitted it. Thomas Young most definitely admitted that all of them was ideographic and they were not phonetical alphabet. So Champollion picked up where Thomas Young left off. He didn't even pick up. He really stole it and plagiarized. That's what they're saying in this book, and we read that in other materials. So that he hijacked Thomas Young demonstration. You know, so this whole demonstration here is breaking down. See it right here? It's breaking down all of that stuff, and it's talking about how it wasn't deciphered. You know, and it's showing that though they use these Roman or Greek or so-called Coptic equivalents, but that's still not ancient Egyptian. That's what people are not looking at. You see? They were not looking at. Look, it says, here then was the fatal blow against Mr. Champollion's first. Yeah, we got somebody beating him up. You know, like we beating him up now, they was beating him up then. Listen to what he said. Better yet, it said, this observation does not bear against Champollion's deciphering of the last cartouche of the row of column he marked number 1, because the writing in that cartouche, and this is dealing with the Rosetta Stone and all that there, is plainly different from that in all of the rest of the same row. And the figure of the sun enters in it at a different manner, only as a partial and not as a complete hieroglyph. It says, but it afforded a very decisive argument against the other 17 being phonetically written. Here, it says, then was the fatal blow against Mr. Champollion's effort to establish the truth of Manetho's catalog. It says he could no longer maintain that the groups in the 2 upper rows of the table were phonetic, without making all the names represented by them begin with the same syllable. He, in consequence, thenceforth set them down as ideographic, and as only mere prenoms, yet without giving the preces to the slightest hint of his former opinion. So it goes into talking about how Champollion contradicted a lot of his own work. This guy goes into it with a scientific method and picks it apart, and he goes into, how they was trying to corroborate, Manetho's canon, so to speak. And a lot of it didn't line up with what Champollion was trying to put out there. And the same thing he was trying to line up actually ended up being the thing that discredited, his own argument. And the guy was saying basically he wouldn't have did this if he was really thinking, and he was showing different charts, like Champollion's version and then other people's version. And if these things were what you said, then why they saying what was different from these scholars that were on the manifest before you? Either they were speaking a more ancient form of Egyptian that you had no knowledge, or you was completely wrong in what you was bringing forth. That's what he was saying. He says another point which Mr. Champollion wished to establish by means of table of Abydos was the existence of a phonetic system among the Egyptians, even before the time, according to him, a very remote one, when the last name on the table was written. One might naturally suppose that he would certainly, he would have given up this point when he was forced to admit the preceding designations on the record being ideographic. In other words, he wouldn't keep trying to say that it was phonetic when he himself then had to demonstrate measures that proved that they was ideographs. You see? And for those who don't know what an ideograph is, because we don't want to throw a lot of terms around and you don't know, we're going to show you what this is. This is what the ancient Egyptians was dealing with. A symbol that represents an idea, a thing, rather than the sounds of a word is called an ideograph. A smiley face emoji is an ideograph that represents happiness. And I was talking to our scribe about this early. If you use certain emojis, you don't need an emoji looking like it's one letter. The emoji represents an expression. So if I put a sad face emoji up there, then that represents sadness. If I put a smiley face like it says here, then that represents happiness. If I put one with one scratching their head, then that means that I'm wondering what's going on. You don't need, one letter to try to express that. And that's what it's saying. A smiley face emoji is an ideograph that represents happiness. So many street signs are ideographs meant to convey a specific meaning without using any words. You see what I'm saying? So this is how Medu was demonstrated in the beginning, though it was symbolic, though it was metaphysical, though it was esoteric. You see? So you don't need an alphabet to demonstrate that. You see what I'm saying? So once you understand that and you get that out of the way, now you have a proper understanding of how the glyphs or the pictures are to be used, and that there are actually limitations put on these pictures when you try to make them letters and alphabets. You put a limitation on them when you do that, because the alphabet exists in hieratic already. You see? So you're taking from the powers of this demonstration. So now watch this. I want to go here now, since I said that. And everybody think that we be making this up when we say that the hieratic was the original language and everything else came after that. I'm going to let y'all hear it again from the scholars, of Rome. Not that our people need to hear that in here, because y'all know what time it is. So listen to what Catherine Ebandi said. So I just told you that pictures, were not the original. I just showed you that hieratic gave birth to what we call Phoenician, Hieroglyphics did not give birth to hieratic. We done read that to you, and we finna show it to you again. It's coming from the Chicago University. Again, this is a source that will be accepted among scholars. Okay, unfortunately, I couldn't even clip this stuff out because they didn't want nobody, I guess, copying it. But it says, hieratic is a cursive script that was most commonly written with reed and brush, ink on either papyrus or ostraca, pieces of pottery and stone. Examples of hieratic written in ink have also been found on cloth, leather, and wood. However, few such examples have been preserved. Hieratic was even given a part itself written using a stylus on mud tablets, dated back to the Old Kingdom, ca. 23rd century BC. Now, many people believe hieratic only go back to the 18th century. That don't know no better. You know, and they talk about the Middle Kingdom this and Middle Kingdom that. You know, but hieratic goes all the way back to pre-dynastic Egypt. But it says a carved version of the script known as lapidary hieratic is frequently found in graffiti at sites such as quarries along the trade routes. It says the term hieratic comes from the Greek expression grammatica hieratica, priestly rites, which was coined by Saint Clement Alexandria. Y'all got to get the works of Saint Clement Alexandria, because in the same works of this particular brother that I was just reading from in his works, where is it? The same work that I was just reading from earlier, right here. That's who mostly he's quoting up here in his work. He's quoting Clement of Alexandria. Clement of Alexandria was even depicted by some to be a priest, you know, but Clement of Alexandria was one that often taught that the original way of the ancient Egyptians was ideographic. You know, that was his position as well. You see? So you'll see him, this brother here, quoting Clement, and you would also see Mustafa Gadala in that same book that I just read from, quoting Clement of Alexandria as well. You know, so when you get into this information, they make it plain. Look right here. You know, it goes into talking about the different things that they had pulled out of certain portions. It says this alphabetic modification of an ideographic expression is very remarkable, and it is precisely in converse in the phonetic practice of the Egyptians, in which we often find a phonetic group modified by an ideographic termination. See, all that transcription do that. It says each sort of writer modified in a less familiar form of expression by that one to which he was more accustomed. But when it is assumed that there, it says, are Egyptian hieroglyphic groups, when they're ideographic or phonetic, it says, which are modified by phonetic terminations, I must demur. To this, still stronger proof of it is produced by mere surmise. I do not find the converse practice among the alphabetic writers. It says, if indeed a thought or word should be expressed by partly by phonetic signs and partly by ideographic ones, like they try to say, the order of the parts would be quite different. For instance, the present year might be written 1835 or 1835. I don't say that either way is usual. It says, but only that is conceivable, and they both serve to illustrate the manner in which two different kinds of signs may suppose to be blended together in the latest hieroglyphic specimens of the Egyptians. You know, but when one set by themselves is given an entire expression, which is again to be modified by the other set, it is certain in cases with which we are acquainted, and thence highly probable in all others, that the latter office is performed by the characters which the writer is in the more constant habit of employing in his general system. As he cannot reverse the preceding, he must so modify the group on which he has to operate, no matter of which kind the science forming it may be. Analogy supports this position, and it will be found strongly corroborated in the case of the Egyptians by comparing their writing and language together when we come to a more particular consideration of their graphic practice. But if the position once be established, and the inference from it is inevitable that all attempts at giving grammatical rules for Egyptian writing must be vain, because grammar applies not to the simple graphic expression of a thought, but only the phonetic modification of that expression. There's one way, however, in which the immediate ground of this inference may be brought to a closer test. The Japanese are said now to mix their phonetic and symbolic signs in the same manner as it is supposed that the ancient Egyptians did. And as it is very possible that they actually did in the latter stages of their hieroglyphic writing, it says, if their graphic expressions of either kind, the same practice must be admitted possible in the case of the Egyptians. And the analogical argument will be neutralized by being made to bear in the opposite directions. But he goes on, and this is really explaining on why the way that the Europeans try to come up with the alphabet cannot be, the way of the ancient Egyptians. So it's talking about how they read the glyphs in that time. It's totally different than the way that they are reading the glyphs in this time. Because in that particular time, it was read according to, idea. In this time, they are reading it according to a pseudo alphabet that they created. So you have to know these two things. You know what I mean? Once you know this, but this right here is the most fire document that I have. So I want to go back over here to your girl, because like I said, he was quoting Clement of Alexandria in this document in a lot of places, because Clement of Alexandria was one again of the same opinion, that basically, yeah, they was basically of the opinion that these were ideographs. They were not letters. So he goes in on Champollion here. He beat him up pretty bad. And, he just went in and, he just tore him apart. So I'm going to be getting into this in the future. It's too much to go over right now. But I do want to finish this portion here out so that y'all get this drawing here. This is very important that you get this one here. Hold up. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So let me continue on. So it says, the term hieratic comes from the Greek expression grammatica hieratica, priestly rites, which was coined by Saint Clement of Alexandria in the 2nd century AD to describe the cursive script used for ancient Egyptian religious texts at the time. Hieratic, however, was not exclusively used during the Greco-Roman period for religious compositions. Hieratic texts are some of the earliest attested documents in ancient Egypt. And they give the date 3200 BC here. Now, this had to be prior to the information that we have in relation to dealing with what we showed you, because 200 years more is where they attested the hieratic alphabet, 3400 BC. In our last session, you go back to it, you'll see we was talking about the abjad, the ABGD, and the HLMH. These particular attestations showed the hieratic 200 more years older, And so it says, and provides some of the most important socio-economic and cultural information. So this is the first hit that's telling us that hieratic was there from the beginning. And it's the oldest. Contrary to St. Clement categorization of the script, hieratic documents include not only religious texts, but also literary, medical, mathematical, administrative, and legal texts. So this lets you know that hieratic was the day-to-day language that was utilized by the people. People don't write, and communicating documents in something to the public, and the public don't understand what it is. It's like somebody going out there, saying that, everything was written in English, but then they say, no, this is Latin over here. It don't make no sense. Because if the public don't speak Latin, then how would they have a knowledge to be able to deal with these things from a religious, a medical, a mathematical, a administrative, or legal standpoint? If this text was being used for all these measures, then that lets you know that hieratic was the active language. Hieroglyphics as pictures has never been a language to be spoken in words. So anyway, it says many of the famous literary tales known from ancient Egypt have been preserved on papyrus in hieratic. The cursive nature of hieratic is what makes the script more notable. And this is what you got to start asking these people when they running around here saying hieratic was just the more simplistic form of writing. If it's the most simplistic form of writing, then why don't you know how to write it then? If it's the most simplistic form of expressing ancient Kemetic language, then why don't you know the simplest form? Yet you run around here talking about you dealing with pictures, but you don't know the simplest form. What you like to call a simple way of writing, the freehand expression. So why don't you know it then? Why when I put a hieratic text in front of them people that's running around here talking about they chematologists, they can't read it since this is the most simple form of writing? Huh? That's an oxymoron for them to come out the side of their neck and say something like that when they know if it's so simple, then why can't you? I can't read it. we had one say that I'm not a reader of the hieratic. But anyway, it says after dipping his brush in the ink, a scribe would have been able to write several signs before having to redip. It says for more ink. As a result of this technique, signs were frequently joined together and at first glance did not appear to resemble hieroglyphs. Hieratic was always written from right to left, as opposed to hieroglyphs, which could be written in either direction, and like hieroglyphs, was written in either vertical columns or horizontal lines. Now listen, differences in the script's paleography, how a text was written as exemplified by the scribe's handwriting, and the shapes of different signs allow Egyptologists to date their hieratic documents solely by the script. The Egyptologists are even able to tell what kind of document a text is without reading it, because there are distinct differences in the handwriting between literary and administrative documents. Although the signs used in hieratic do correspond to most of the same shapes used in hieroglyphs, the script is neither a derivative nor an abbreviation of hieroglyphs. So they're telling you right here, it says the script is neither a derivative nor abbreviation of hieroglyphs. So when you look at this from this aspect, that killed that whole argument talking about that hieratic come from hieroglyphs. Because they're telling you right here, Chicago University, again, although the signs used in hieratic do correspond to most of the same shapes used in hieroglyphs, the script is neither a derivative nor an abbreviation of hieroglyphs. Despite the similarities, there is not a one-to-one correspondence in the sign and writing between the two scripts. Like I showed you, the one-to-one correspondence between hieratic and Phoenician, ain't no one-to-one correspondence between, these different measures or signs of the two scripts, hieratic and hieroglyphic. I didn't just say that. These people said what I said too. Hieratic even has some signs that are not found in hieroglyphs. So if hieroglyphs gave birth to hieratic, then why do hieratic have signs that are, not there? Unless you're going to try to pull the old Greek and Coptic demonstration. Hieratic even has some signs that are not found in hieroglyphs. That lets you know which one come first. Because if you got 7,000 hieroglyphs that were added by the Ptolemies, and it was 700 originally under the ancient Egyptian, the ideographs, then how in the world you going to have hieratic and have signs in hieratic that are not found in hieroglyphs? Because surely the hieroglyphs are more in number than the hieratic, right? That's just common sense. I'm using common sense logic. But it says Egyptian scribes were capable of using both scripts, and most hieroglyphic inscriptions in former contexts, like the Temple of the Tomb walls, were originally drafted in hieratic, then adopted into hieroglyphs. How many times I done told y'all that before, and told y'all about the transcription of hieratic, into pictures. Hieratic texts are frequently transcribed into hieroglyphs for the convenience of modern Egyptologists. Show me what ancient Egyptians were doing that at. They wasn't doing it. But differences in spelling, signs of age, and even the presence and type of punctuation mark demonstrated that the ancient Egyptians, the Egyptian scribes, did not translate between the two scripts when they were writing. So they didn't do what the Europeans do. It says, instead, Egyptian scribes were able to use both scripts independently. So pictures was pictures, and alphabetical letters was alphabetical letters. They were both independent, and they didn't diverge or break off from each other. It says the appearance of hieroglyphs is about 3320 BC. It's seen the beginning of writing in ancient Egypt, but hieratic is actually found soon after the first hieroglyphic inscription. Both scripts are found among the earliest examples of writing in ancient Egypt during Dynasty 0. See, y'all just go to the 18th dynasty. The dynasty 0. Both were present. You got to remember, pictures are pictures. Alphabet is alphabet. So the pictures were on the manifest, but the alphabet was right there with it. And we just showed you the attested measure last week. Again, 3400 BC. 55,000 years ago, basically. The appearance of hieratic so early suggests that it was not a later adaptation of hieroglyphs, but was developed alongside it. So it didn't come from hieroglyphs. It was there while they were being created. So, for example, if they draw the picture, then in order for them to tell you what that picture is, they would write it in a hieratic word, whatever that word may be. And if they had a picture of a lion, then they would give you the hieratic word for lion next to it. You see, if they had the picture of a bull, then they would give you the hieratic depiction of the bull next to it. You see? Hold up. I got an example of that. Like this. When they show you the picture of the thing, they give you the expression of what it is in hieratic. Good and well, this and this ain't the same, even though they got it up here. This and this ain't the same. That and that ain't the same. But they are giving you a description of what this is. So this is all. This is ab here. Not to be confused with father, or the heart portion. Because this is different ab. Here's another one. This is the ab that has to do, with another measure here as well. This is ak. See? They want you to believe that this and this is the same, but it's not. So the key is that these pictures are being described here. Now, if we would have had English words, then it would be what this is in English, what this means to us. This would be, let's just say, a cistern. They call it ab here. You see? Whatever it is. This is called unk. You know? And so forth and so on. So we would say life other than putting unk here. So that's all it is. So the hieratic has always been there from the beginning because it explains, of course, this is the language explaining what this is. You understand? Once you get that, then you understand nobody can come to you. The picture's always been there from the beginning. But somebody had to be able to explain what the pictures represented, people. You had to have a language to say what was being depicted in the picture. So these were pretty much ancient emojis of the ancient Egyptians that they were using. They was before their time, family. The ancient Egyptians were before their time. They were dealing with emojis way back then. That's all these is, emojis, and they got the meaning of the emoji beside it. You see? So when they say, well, if this ain't been deciphered, how do you come up with this language? You know, because the language is hieratic, not the pictures. The pictures are superimposed upon the language by the European. You see? So once you understand what they were, then you understand that they are ideographs, and you will interpret them accordingly. And you won't be trying to read them like the alphabets. You understand? We can't say that we can't say that in a less expression of the measure family. You know, we have to keep bringing that on the manifest. So let me go finish this little portion out. So now it says, it goes on. It says, typically they list only the royal names for information. It says about the contents of the vessels. Frequently, it says the place of origin. The first hieratic inscription dating about 3200 BC is the royal name of Scorpion from the site of Tarkhan, just south of Cairo. Examples of hieratic continue to be found throughout the early dynastic period. 3000 to 2680 BC, when the first examples of monumental hieroglyphs, inscriptions appearing on large structures and objects such as tombs and stelae and statues appear. So hieratic was present. The importance of writing, the use of papyrus, and the importance of scribes even in the early Egyptian history is illustrated by the inclusion of a roll of blank papyrus among the burial goods in the early dynastic tomb of the seal bearer Heka at Saqqara. Throughout the following millennia of Egyptian history, hieratic underwent a dramatic series of changes. The scripts of later pharaonic periods bear little resemblance to the earliest attestations of hieratic, so they begin to change. Despite these changes, hieratic, it says, always remain an important part of a scribe's training. And the Egyptian writing, hieratic even seems to have influenced the hieroglyphs at different points in Egyptian history. Hieratic influenced the hieroglyphs. You ain't never heard that happen. It says some of the changing forms of the Egyptian hieroglyphs reflect the hieratic script. The longevity of the script demonstrates the important role it played in the writing tradition of ancient Egypt. Hieratic texts are among the earliest examples of Egyptian writing, and the script continued to be used throughout all ancient Egyptian history. Even after the advent of the Demotic in the late period, 7th century, hieratic continues to be used for administrative and religious texts into the 3rd century AD. Perhaps most illustrative of the importance of hieratic is the fact that the hieroglyphic sign used to represent the word scribe is a scribal palette with ink wells and a reed brush needed to write hieratic. Oh man. Yeah, this is real powerful, family. So, they go in here to show you we can't make this stuff up, even though they'll tell you I did. They go to showing you this stuff in here and showing you the text, of Gardenia, the butcher, I like to call him, because he the one cut this stuff up. So it's going and breaking down a bunch of different texts that are written in hieratic, including the famous coffin text that y'all like to talk about. All of those things were written in hieratic, people, and transcribed into pictures. Now, how you gonna get away from this? They harped upon this information. Look at it, hieroglyphs and hieratic papyrus. See, the hieroglyphs wasn't nothing more than captions here. So, it goes on and on. And I showed you, they got plenty of this stuff. I showed you a lot of this before because they actually showed it. Yeah. Yeah, they ain't playing. So when we get into this special drawing, family, and we will go further and deeper into the depths of this, we got a lot to show our people. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to open it back up for my scribes and see what they have to say about this measure. Then we're going to move on to the next phase. Islam, scribes.
Islam. Go ahead, Goddess.
Y'all coming two at a time. That's right.
Go ahead, Goddess. I went first last time.
Islam. I really don't have a whole lot to say because Dr. Shahid, I mean, you can't explain it no better. I mean, what more can we say? That you then showed us about the ideographs. You gave us the meaning of that. You then showed us how the hieratic came first. Then the pictures come from that. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you put it out there so plainly. All I can say is go back and listen. Go back and listen. Go back and listen. Go back and go over. And it tickles me how even Champolion's his peers how they come against him and talked about how the stuff that he was putting out there was wrong. I mean, what more do you want? I don't know what more you want us to give you to let you know that all that stuff he didn't put out there. Even his peers didn't agree with him. But that all we can do is just show you what we done found and give you the information, and it's up to you with what you do with it. But I know in my heart there are a lot of people who want to know the truth, and Allah is causing them to see what we're saying and causing them to come to the truth. I mean, with everything that we're doing, I tell you, this thing is getting ready to blow up. See, because they thought that they could hide the truth from our people. They didn't see our holy prophet opening up our eyes and causing us to see and hear and realize what was going on. See, they thought they had us buried in that grave. They thought we was done and over with. But little did they know, they did not know the power of the great God, Allah, whatever you call it. They did not know his power, and they did not know about our prophet Noble Jew Ali, how he was going to be revealing all of this stuff to us and causing it to just fall in our laps. I mean, some of this information, it just come by so easy. It just drops in our laps. The truth is always going to stand. Gratitude, God, man. I'm enjoying everything. Islam.
Islam.
Islamism, Grand National Secretary of State, and Grand Drawing, Sister Dendra.
Gratitude. Yes. Yeah. I had to get my thoughts together because it's so powerful. It's so much coming at you, but in essence, it's reiterating the same thing. And a couple of keys that stood out in reference to you dealing with source materials, that speak about hieratics was first. It also speaks about these are two different two different systems that were used simultaneously, but they didn't mix the two. And the key for me was in Kemet, how the glyphs were read then, dealing with ideas. Okay, and here in this current time, our people have the understanding in reference to a pseudo alphabet. So these degrees were deliberately there to confuse, make it difficult for you to be able to go back and do the research. But this is a new era of time now. And this is just so powerful. The other thing that was really powerful was making it on the same line as emojis and how we use emojis today. And you can see the similarity when you brought that last chart up in reference to, let's say, dealing with the Ankh. This is the hieratic symbol. This is the actual explanation of it. The same way when we have the emojis dealing with a smiley face as opposed to something that's crying. So it's so simple, but oftentimes we love to complicate the simple. So we got to get back to make it make sense, and this is what is the beauty of our ancient forefathers, the simplicity in it, but also the esoteric aspect in it, the formulas, and us being able to comprehend. And you're using not just logic, but you're going ethereally to be able to discern these different demonstrations. So it is so powerful. It's so magnanimous, and you cannot bury the truth. I don't care what you do. So gratitude more for bringing forth these additional source materials, breaking it down so that even a child can understand. Gratitude more. Peace and love.
Islam and gratitude and peace and love. And a lot of people wonder, well, why do we keep going back over this? Because some of our people don't get it, and so we want to make sure they understand exactly what it is that we're saying, so they don't ask crazy questions like, well, if your name is Commission, then how you gonna say it ain't been deciphered when the name Commission don't even exist in now Egyptian lexicon that's out there? Commission is a word, Kemet, being added to the word TIAN, so to speak, from the Roman aspect. So it's really a hybrid expression, so to speak, when we say Commission. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that, but you ain't gonna find that translated in no papyri like that, because it don't exist in the papyri like that. We know where the construct come from, so it's ignorant for somebody to say that. Now, if you want to ask where the biliterals and the triliterals, come from, how do we get the word Kemet, and how do we get the word Abu? How do we get the word Neter? They come from the hieratic. It's simple. You know what I'm saying? And we already know them pictures that was there, are transcriptions. They are not the original, because we have the original facsimile. If you don't believe me, I'm going to share this right here and show you this. I'm going to show you in action these people that's supposed to be chief Kemetic teachers now. They do not know this. And it shook the conscious community up when I came forth to bring this information. So you now about to witness the strength, of divine knowledge right here. Watch this. This is a prime example now. And a lot of the ones that are upset and pushing back are mad at me because they have been teaching people that they teaching them the language, and I came forth and told them that's not the language. So they feel like I'm taking, money from them. They feel like I'm messing with their money. So this is what caused me to be one that is in opposition. Often dealing with a lot of the information that I bring forth, It ain't just to the Kemetic community, but even within the Moorish community, even within, you know, the Islamic community, our Christian community. The information that I bring forth is mostly sensitive because I'm uncovering things that people like to try to keep secret. And so they looking at me like, oh, he running his mile, telling them everything. I'm trying to keep these people up on the sway, and he just coming out here exposing everything. That's why I get so much opposition. I get it now. You know what I mean? That's why I got so many people opposed to me, because I'm messing with their money. You see, when your information go to messing with their money, you know, that's when you causing problems. You see, and even when it comes to dealing with Rome, you know, and you know how they trying to keep this information from coming to the manifest. You know, and I know for a fact you got people probably flagging my channel. You know what I mean? Ain't no doubt about that. You know, as soon as they see me go live, they hitting it, you know, to keep this thing from going through the algorithm. That's what's really going on, if you really want to know. But they can't stop the truth. People gonna get it anyway. Okay, we got you back in here, Grand Secretary of the State. Rome playing again. Goodness gracious. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna show y'all this real quick. Pay attention now. Listen to it. And if you can't,
why don't you drop the link for Reggie to come in?
If you can't transliterate this,
Reggie, you want the link to come in?
Mastermind.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because I like to watch that. I would love to watch it.
If you can't read this, you ain't worthy of my answers. And I'm finna put it up here right now.
I would love to watch this.
And tell me what you identify.
Why don't you drop the link?
Okay.
Just give me 1 second.
Drop the link so Reggie can come in.
There we go, right?
No, I don't want to come in.
Now let me show you something. It's the reason why he don't want to come in, people, because I'm finna tear his behind up. You see? Let me show y'all something. Let me show y'all something out there, people. This man been scamming y'all the whole while. And most of our people don't know they don't know no better, family. They don't know no better. They've been out here trying to perpetrate like they teaching Kemet, right?
See, I'm telling you, y'all don't know Kamisi. He come across humble, man, but when y'all don't know this brother, man.
I had this locked.
He try to be humble, man.
I had this locked and loaded because I knew it was somebody that come in here to play with me. And I got
he's gonna be reading that shit backwards.
Hold up, you know how much of this stuff I got over here, son? Like I got all the papers. I'm talking about on all these things that done so-called been transliterated.
No, I asked a simple question.
Don't say nothing. No,
I asked a simple question. Those words that you put up, Kamisha and Adept, right? Can you show those words that you put up in Egyptian text? Now, I don't read hieratic well, so that I don't read hieratic well.
I'm gonna make sure I cut you off. Listen to what I'm saying, bro. Look.
No, I heard you speak. I'm just asking you a question.
Reggie, you gotta let the brother finish, man, and then you can go.
Let me say what I'm saying. I'm gonna listen to you, brother. Trust me, I'm gonna listen to you. But before you ask me them questions, every paper in Kemet, folks, and I want y'all to see this. Y'all finna learn something. This is the original paper that these teachings were written in. Most of these transliterations and translations, right? Y'all seen Sultanate pull the belt out and go to spanking his hand, right? This is what the European created from what I just showed you. Now ask yourself the question. If this was created later and this was first, then why ain't Reggie teaching you this? Why ain't those who so-called studying the Kemetic teaching you hieratic? Because he don't know. Now, Reggie, what I ask you, and I'm gonna answer your question. Transliterate that right there, since you know Kemetic teaching. Just a portion, just one part of it. Can you transliterate that right there? Now I got the dictionary up here. I got the hieratic breakdown to help you if you need some assistance. But can you transliterate that, Reggie? Yes or no?
Yeah. All right. Here's a question, right?
I asked
Can you translate?
You go to dancing around.
No, I actually you're avoiding my question. You're avoiding my question. Can you translate anything?
No.
Did I just say I was going to ask you a question?
I'm not. No. So I'm not good at translating hieratic.
What letter is
So
that?
I'm not good at.
Now,
I'm not good at translating hieratic.
Hold on, stop, man, for a minute.
Go ahead.
You've been, Reggie, you've been parading yourself, you and Garfield running around talking about how Jabari can't read the Metal Netra, and now you are being challenged with the brother right here to tell you, to ask you to read this, and you saying you can't read it, Reggie? Please don't let me down by doing this, Reggie. Read that shit, Reggie. Show the world that you know how to read this Metal Netra, brother. Come on.
It sounds like when he asked me to read that modern Hebrew bullshit.
So hieratic, I am not an expert on, right? I am an expert. I'm a medium reader of the Metal Netra. This is hieratic.
Oh, now he said he's a medium reader of the Metal Netra. Now, if you look up there, the name of this class with the ancient Egyptian roots of the circle 7 and 3rd heaven adept chamber. And I did a real good job on showing the people how everything come from Kemet, from what our prophet was teaching. Y'all got to go see the video. It was a nice one. Everybody loved the video. But he came in, how does those degrees go back to anything Egyptian? Ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about. So I went on here and say, all right, since you want to act like you who you is, read this. And you can see that he couldn't read it. And then he said he's a medium reader of Metal Netra. So how, let's go into it. If you have studied the teachings of Egypt, then you know that those letters have been transcribed by these pictorials. You should know this. This is basic history. So therefore, you should have some basic understanding to be able to identify some of this stuff in here. You see what I'm saying? You should be able to do this. Like for example, looking at it right now, just looking at this script right here, just looking at a basic principle dealing with the words here, I can tell you, that this is what we call placeholders, indicators. That's an indicator, that's an indicator. That's one. That's actually look like the scarab beetle. But, this is an indicator. This is an indicator. Indicators, they would call them determinatives in their expression, but these are indicators. You see what I'm saying? And all the points of the indicators mostly have to do with where a word ends. So this indicator comes here, then this word will come here, look like a W, a little small or whatever. Then you go in here, I see the which is also the Y here, and then we come into another indicator. So the word will be right in between here, and this is the indicator. These are things that jump out, now that we have been into this, and studying so much, in certain aspects. But once you're able to identify those things, you ain't even got to know what the indicator really is. You just need to know where the word begins and where the word ends, and then see the alphabets that are dealing with the collective of the letters that are in the hieratic alphabet chart. Because that's what's going to be between these indicators here. You see what I'm saying? And once you're able to see that, then you can identify words and ligatures, because that's another thing. Ligatures consist of biliterals, triliterals, and quadriliterals also. You know what I mean? We can go into those aspects. We can even say pentaliterals. That don't exist, but, a 5-letter word. Ligatures, they come together. Hieroglyphics don't come in ligatures. You see what I'm saying? So that's what lets you know the difference between hieratic and hieroglyphics right there. Now, if I was trying to be funny, I could say that's the word ish right there. See the I, see the S, and the H? You know what I mean? But I know that these have different meaning than our English alphabet. But that's how some of our people be acting sometimes. Hold on real quick.
I am an expert. I'm a medium reader of the Metal Netra. This is hieratic. So I never said that I was expert on hieratic.
Oh, so you could break down the Europeans breakdown.
There you go.
No,
there,
no, it's
there
not
you
that.
go. There you see what Shardell said? Shardell said, oh, so you could break down the Europeans breakdown. Man, this right here should have ended that conversation a long time ago. But you know, the ego is something else, and King Ambition is a sturdy foe to fight. And like Saw said, the brother commission humble. He tried to be humble. You know, I am. That's how I move. I always come in a lowly spirit and humility, you know, but they be playing. And they don't realize that's what made me thrash people 30 years ago. You know, because I hated to see somebody that want to be a bully with information. And so when they would try to profess that they know so much, that's what used to make me get them back then. You know, I just stopped, you know, going back and forth, you know, because at that time, it was one time where I had a discussion with a brother, and he was a Christian. And he started with me, trying to push stuff on me, you know, God, and we was both supposed to be studying the same book at the time. You know, I hadn't even come fully in Islam. I was just saying it was certain things that were tampered with and corrupt in the book, and he didn't want to accept it. And by the time we got through talking, this brother took that Bible and throwed it on the ground. You know, if it then, I don't believe in nothing. And that made me say, you know, it made me stop for a long time having these type of conversations. Because I was like, whoa, brother, don't throw the book down. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be the cause of you not believing nothing. I don't want to be held accountable for that. And so that's why, you know, I didn't go. But then when I seen out here in the conscious community just commonly teaching, people just start attacking you for no reason. And they want you to be like a lamb, you know, why they just devour you. You know what I mean? And so I know how to be productive, and I know how to be cordial in the process of giving the truth. And at the same time, like Sarnetta pull that belt out, spank yo, yes, you know, for playing. You know, and so it ain't got nothing to do with competition or competing or even right and wrong demonstration between me and the brother. I'm teaching the public. While he think I'm trying to show him something, I'm showing the public. You see what I'm saying? He in competition with me. I ain't even thinking about competition. I'm thinking about I'm finna show these people how you've been frauding them and how you've been misusing them. And I'm going to show them that by teaching them what you ain't been teaching them, because you don't know how to teach them. You know, that's why I asked him a question. Show me an alphabet chart. In that conversation, you ran clean off the platform. You see what I'm saying? So they already know how it's going to end. Every time that brother came up against me, even with the word more, or going back and forth, every time he came up, it ended the same way. You know, and I understand where it come from, because that particular brother, I seen the old videos, man, where the Moors was tearing into his behind. It was Moors, but way back, you know, 15 years ago, on some of the videos that I seen that was whooping him. So he have a vendetta against the Moors based upon that, and brought that energy to me, you know, and that was the wrong thing to do. Because some of them same Moors that was on his behind, I was on them Moors for going against the prophet. You see what I'm saying? So it's strange how this information come out here, but we here to teach our people the truth. Freedom is not a game, people. You see what I'm saying? How many times do we have to show you this? We done not only showed you that, but we done even showed you our methodology of reverse engineering this stuff and taking it back to a state. We started with the Book of Ptah. We're going to complete that, you know? So we ain't done. We know what we're doing over here. It just took time for us to get here, because we had to break through your psyche and let you know that Rome was wrong. We had to break that Roman seal, family.
On hieratic.
Oh, so you could break down the Europeans breakdown.
There you go.
No, it's not.
There you go.
No,
But not the original.
E.A.R.S bird. E.A.R.S bird.
Hieratic is letter writing, right? Hieratic is letter writing, so it's more scribal.
So you hear that? Hieratic is letter writing. Huh? Hieratic is letter writing. That's right. It's the letters or the alphabet of the ancient Egyptians. That's why they call Medu-Ray and Kemet the language of the Egyptians, and they call Medu-Neter, they call it the language of Tehuti, the language of God. You see what I'm saying?
Letter writing, right? Hieratic is letter writing, so it's more scribal. So it's actually more scribal.
Yeah, but wouldn't you consider this to be the original writings, though?
No, that's more.
Look at this. He gonna still say no, because he trying to take the other route, and he just got exposed. See how that's what you call cognitive dissonance, family. Our people be in denial in the face. This is literal papyri right here, the original papyri, and he gonna sit up here and tell you that it ain't the original.
Yeah, but wouldn't you consider this to be the original writings, though?
No, that's more shorthand. It's actually more shorthand of the Medu-Neter.
A shorthand, more simple version of writing the Medu-Neter, but you can't understand the most simple part of it.
So it's not. It's similar to Medu-Neter because it translates.
Reggie done got exposed.
You won't answer.
Brother, stop it. Don't make me expose you now.
No.
Don't you make
Yeah,
me
no.
The chat said he's already exposed.
No. So anybody could pull up hieratic. Hieratic is
when he was reading Hebrew. Reggie, you know you was reading that Hebrew backwards, right? When you put
hold on, Apostle, let Reggie finish. Let him finish, brother. Don't change the subject.
All right. So let's just get back to my point. So I admitted hieratic reading I'm not good at, right? So Commission Adept, what I asked you was all of that breakdown that you showed. I would like to see any of that in the text of ancient Egypt, hieratic or Medu-Neter. That's what I asked you to.
What in specific?
That's what I asked. That's what I asked you to do.
What in specific are you want to see? And I can show it to you. Which one? Which one of the slides? I know you remember one if you see.
Pull up any of the slides where you list the degree, where you list the degrees of the red, the red and the white. No, not the red and the white. You start with.
The problem with you, bro, is you mixing.
No, I don't have a problem. I don't.
Hold up. Let me stop you.
Let
me stop you, bro.
I don't have a problem. So what I'm just trying to ask, what I'm simply just trying to ask you, good brother. No, you listen. I'm asking you the question. See, what you're trying to do is avoid. I am simply trying to source where you got it from.
You got to misunderstand.
I'm simply trying to source where you got it from.
You got to misunderstand it. Let me tell you what you're doing. First and foremost, I Adept chamber, bro, ain't got nothing to do with teaching Medu-Neter. Like, how you even mixing that up? I'm showing you what our Adept degrees is. Never once did I say them Adept degrees.
But I want to know where you got the Adept. I just want to know where you got the Adept degrees from.
It's a straw man argument.
I asked you, it's not a straw man. I'm just simply saying, you are saying that what you're teaching is ancient Egyptian. And I'm just trying to source where it is.
These Adept degrees and teachings came from Prophet Noble Drew Ali through the Adepts that he taught, and they taught through those degrees, and then they came down by generation. You ain't never seen.
So what you just showed is from what you just showed is from Prophet Noble Drew Ali?
Yes, sir. And that's
which
why
book?
I kept saying by me teaching them openly, some people ain't
which book?
Like that much. Say what?
Which book? Which book?
What I'm showing you more has been hiding from you, bro. That some of them don't even know this. I'm giving you what came through me. I just showed you the book where my chairman put it in his book. I gave you the breakdown.
Another question. Another question. Another question.
Language, though, bro.
Another question. So you say another question. Just another question. Just another question. So you said black is death.
That's right, according to the spiritual science.
Okay, great. So we're on Earth, and so we use our senses as humans as best as we can. So you do know that 90% of the of matter is dark matter or black matter, right? And black energy. You know that, right? Outside of our senses.
That ain't got nothing to do with spirit.
Dark energy.
So it's 90%. If 90% of matter, if 90% of matter in the universe is black matter, right, and black energy combined.
I ain't never heard that.
How's black equivalent to death?
That ain't got nothing to do with spiritual.
I ain't never heard no black matter and black energy. It's dark matter and dark energy. That's because
dark matter and dark energy is black matter and black energy.
I know what he's talking about.
No. So it's getting worse, man. It's getting worse.
Right.
Reggie,
Right. So
you see, this brother just shifted the conversation from one thing to another to try to get away from dealing with that hieratic. So he goes back and forth on black and then talking about black letter law, twisting the words up where I was speaking of black code law, which is two different things, and he still didn't, get what he was looking for there. He got, more of this same divine chastisement, so to speak, for playing with the truth. But this just goes to show you the length that our people go through, to act like they know something. He's supposed to be the chief teacher of Medu Netta, that's amongst the conscious community today. You see? And this is what happened, though. And I keep telling these brothers, you got other people that look at these dudes like they super knowledgeable. Now I ain't going to be one to try to take nothing from nobody, because I don't demonstrate like that. I'm honest, But certain people that they consider super knowledgeable, I don't look at them in that way. And that ain't a slight to them. It's because I've studied. So it's certain things that when they talking, I know better. Now to somebody else, because they articulate it in their eloquent ignorance, because we got a lot of people out there eloquent in expressing their ignorance. They can do it very well, make it sound real good now. But to me, because I studied, I catch it. I can catch it soon as they speak it. And while everybody like, ooh, they dropping some real science. I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? And it ain't because I'm, like I said, like I'm looking like I know this, but I know what I done studied. And I know what the records say. So while they saying what they saying out they beat, I'm reflecting on what the records say, and the records don't reflect what they talking about. So that's why I'm saying, no, they getting over, they scamming on the people. You know what I mean? That's why it's so easy for me to pull it up when they do it. And that's why it's so hard for them to come against what I'm saying. Because not only am I going to tell you, I'm going to show you. It ain't nothing that I get up here and talk about that I can't show you. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm not one to get up here and speak on something that I have never studied. If I say it, I can show it to you. And I'm going to give you a reliable source. That's the thing about me, family. You see? So at this time, we're going to bring this demonstration to a closure. And we're going to call on our Grand National Secretary of State. And gratitude. It's been a grand drawing, though. Islam, goddess and queen. Islamism without the schism. I know you say woo-wee.
I sure did. You snatched it right out my mouth. Woo-wee. Good gracious. I tell you, these lessons, coming from our ancient forefathers, we are so blessed to have a prophet. I want to give you much honor in this class. Your due diligence, the time and patience, and making sure that our people have a clear understanding of what it is that we actually have to offer, what our ancestors brought forth and things of that nature. And it is a sad state of affairs when you see those perpetrating a fraud or think that they know, because in going in these classes, and I wanted to reiterate in reference to even when the prophet spoke about repetition. Repetition is not a bad thing. If you notice, most of the prophets and Buddhas, etc., they studied 18, 20 some years, and even when they came out with their special titles, stations, or degrees, they still remained humble enough to be able to receive even added blessings. And so we've got to get out of the mindset that, well, first, coming into more science, the ego and the vanity, we need to put that to the side, because we recognize the fact that for hundreds of years, our people have been indoctrinated. So when we come into the truth, first of all, the thing that I enjoy about more science is that you are encouraged to do the research so that you be what you know and not what you're told. That way, can't nobody take it from you. But it also takes a Moorish American to teach a Moorish American how to be a Moorish American. So we have to learn how to humble ourselves, and I'm speaking to self as well, to recognize what we don't know and to maintain being in a student's place until you can get to that level where you are the question and the answer. There's nothing wrong with that. But too often, the way it is here in the West, we want to try to bluff our way through or fake our way through and all this kind of stuff, when sincerity is the first degree. You have to be real with yourself. It's nothing wrong with not knowing, but once you have received the truth, and it's in your hands then, if you're going to study, to make it applicable to yourself or make it a part of who you are, or just continue to sit on the sidelines and want somebody to feed you or spoon feed you or what have you. So the choice is ours. But the thing about it is, it's already been decreed that not a word is lost. We're going to learn all of these lessons because we're going to eventually unfold into the God state. This is our true essence, being gods, just as we are children of the great God, so this is a grand blessing. And everything that we do is important, and for me, I'm not going to take the word of a European speaking about a language is dead, a people is dead, et cetera, because who are you to speak upon the death of anything when we're here and recognizing the fact that spirit man can't die? So this is a powerful demonstration, a powerful measure, and gratitude to you, Dr. Shahid, to Act One and all of our Moorish kin online, for being here at the ready and on the front line. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Yeah, we alive and well over here. That's right, Grand Secretary of the State. They always talk about the funerary text of this, the book of this and the book of that, and it boiled down to it that we got the pen in our hand now, so we gonna tell you what book it is, and it dang sure ain't gonna be no book of no dead. You know what I mean? So we already know the book we have is the book of the living, and so praise be to Allah. I want to give honors to our family out there, and yeah, we see you, brother Born Dog. Honors to you, brother.
You call me?
Yes, sir. Peace and love. Well, yeah, we did call you, grand man. Come on up in here. I know your scimitar fresh out the oil.
Man, it's man. Again, praising Allah and honor Prophet Noble Ali. This is a magnet. This reminds me so much of the major questionnaire that the Prophet brought to us. I mean, he brought it. He kept it simple. He even gave us divine warning, gave us the divine constitution. He gave it everything he brought to us was divine, as well as national. Because prior to this, we didn't have a clue about nationality or being a god, or as the prophet say, our divine creed. So the thing about it was that we have got to come to be what you know. Stop running off the mouth competing with one another. It's stupid. All you got to do is be the message that you bring. Did the prophet teach? That's why you think you got 101 questions in the questionnaire. You got a divine constitution. If I ask you what kind of flag is the Moors, can you answer it? What about your? It's the Holy Covenant. We are just blessed to be Moorish American nationals. We don't have to worry about being property belonging to somebody else's government, somebody else's enterprise, somebody else's corporation, da-da-da. No, we are the message that we are. Who made you? Simple as that. That's what I got to say, Mo. Islam is without a schism.
And Islam isn't without the schism. We give honors to you, Chairman. You know, you always say, Chairman, a debate ain't nothing but an argument between two fools. And luckily, dealing with the information that we done put out there, we ain't even had the debate because they run from it. So we ain't had to get into no foolish combos, in just giving the dialogue. So we just say gratitude. But I'm with you. The problem is that when we out here trying to teach our people, the thesis, so to speak, we got some of our people got that antithesis mentality to where they always want to take the people off the course of what it is you bringing out there, and try to misdirect the course. They can't do that. Even if they try, they get grounded to powder playing with the truth. But unfortunately, it's sad that that's all our people can do. And it ain't just with the particular brother we have here. It's like anytime we get out here and say something to our people, rather than taking the information and utilizing it, like if you tell them you got a government, you got a nation, you got a divine constitution and bylaw, instead of them taking all of that information, they gonna ask you, well, what Rome think about your government? How is that helping us? And da-da-da-da-da. And meanwhile, half of them that running they beat ain't did nothing, ain't been nowhere, ain't going nowhere. All that philosophizing that they faking with and ain't saved nobody with it. And that's what I be asking when they get to talking like that. Well, let me see, what it is that you have done with what you have that has made you successful. Since you talking, show me. I'm from Missouri. But anyway, gratitude. We give honors to you, Chairman, for that drawing. Praise be to Allah. Man, it's sad. They better stop it because the worst is yet to come and we ain't got time. The door gonna be shut, the gate's gonna be closed, and the angel gonna take the key. But Islamism without the schism. Let us go forth to our beloved goddess and queen, Sister Curta Bay. Islam. And you can carry us in third heaven when you get done, goddess.
Islam. Oh, all right. Gratitude. Only thing I just have to say, family, we have brought you the truth, and it takes a strong person, goddess or God man, to admit that that they're wrong. And if I put something out there and then later on I find out that my information wasn't right, I just humble myself and say, y'all, I thought I was right, but I was wrong, and I told you, and I gave you wrong information. Just admit that you putting the wrong thing out there. But one thing I do know, when you do things in ignorance, we used to say in the Piscine area, when you do things out of ignorance, because I did it. I was teaching about Jesus. I was sincere, but I was sincerely wrong. So when you do things out of ignorance, they say you get with a few strikes. But when you know the truth, and we have brought the truth to you, and we're showing you, and you still want to come against us, you don't want to accept what we got to say, and you still continue to deceive our people, then we used to say in the Piscine area, you're going to get whooped with many stripes. And I would tell you, Moorish kin, who are still out there putting out this European information, trying to hold up master, consider your consequences that's going to come. Stop misleading our people, and it's time to tell the truth, because the truth is going to stand. The prophet said he pulled the cover off of all of it. So everything is being exposed now. So I encourage you to continue to come and go listen to the playback. Go listen to the playback. Islam family. Well, at this time, it's that time. January 15, 1929, and one from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical, agitated speeches while at work, in the homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by the prophet. If they lose confidence in the prophet, they should turn in their card and buttons, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of prophet Noble Drew Ali. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nations, ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortune of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially adjourned according to Act 2, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Go in peace, Moors. Great class. Grand class. Islam.
Great class. Gratitude.
Gratitude. Peace and love.
Islam without the schism.
Gratitude.
Woo.
I wish a member would. We love you, family, man. We love the Book of Fire. You know what I mean?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You hear me, man? That chairman, man, when the chairman wrote that one right there, goodness gracious, mess around and let it get in my hand.
Oh,
ooh, we. You see what I'm saying? And we here to support, everything it is that the prophet brought in.
That's right.
That's
right.
Right.
From the plane of soul to the plane of things made manifest. Islam.
Islam.
We love you, Moors, and honors to our family too for checking in. Yeah.
Yes.
We give honors to all of y'all. It's always honors to our brother Barn Dog, Tariq Bay. Y'all always showing up, family. No matter what time of day, it can be in the wee hours of the night. Y'all there. Got our family from London be checking in too. So it's a grand draw, and the best is yet to come. We love you.
We love you.
Y'all keep tuning in, and we'll see y'all in Sunday school.
Islam.
Islam scribes. Y'all know y'all homework cut out for y'all, right?
Yes.
What you say?
We got our work cut out for you. Yeah.
We got some grand draws, boy. So peace and love.
Peace and love.
We love you.
Islam.
Islam.